I don't have it. And you're welcome to look. Have a good time.
Yeah, I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, it'll be about a minute or two and we're going to start, so
I'll forward you on that.
I want you to know.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm in no rush.
For your way.
So next week's meeting is Tuesday, or are we still on Wednesday next week?
Everybody's gone for Thanksgiving. Going out of town.
I would have missed. I'm glad
On
everyone's
vacation.
telling me because I would have missed it.
No, and it,
The other thing is that
And next, I need a writing implement.
the hammer.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
can use it by the internet.
Where happened to that?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's 6 o'clock, and we're going to call this meeting to order. All right? This is the Ways and Means, November 18th, Grand Traverse County meeting, and we'll start this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you please join me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next is roll call.
Max Bauer?
Here.
Kropa?
Here.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Klaus?
Here.
Crawford? Here. Johnson?
Here.
Lathrop?
Here. Now, the next is going to be approval of the minutes. Is there any change or additions, deletions from the minutes? If not, they'll stand as
I'm just trying to find my
approved.
agenda.
Okay. Next will be public comment, but before we start this, I'd like to speak to the audience and speak to the board. I'm going to limit public comment to 3 minutes each. We have several opportunities for public comment. We have it in the beginning, like right now, and also at the end of the meeting, and you're always welcome to comment on any one particular subject we bring up. The reason I am going to limit it from 5 minutes to 3 minutes is we have so many people that want to speak, and everyone should have a chance to speak. But we also have a lot of work to get done tonight, a tremendous amount of it, and we have to get that done before 10 o'clock. So we really want to hear from you. Honest to goodness, we do. Don't be shy. I will ask one thing. Last month at this meeting, we had people clapping and booing, and that should not happen, and here's why. The whole intent of the Open Meetings Act is that people can come here and speak to this board and speak to each other and speak their mind without fear of being intimidated or put down. So when you clap or when you boo for your favorite or your least, you oppress them. So I'm hoping that the demeanor of this meeting, people could get up and make their statements, and neither the board nor the audience tries to overwhelm the speaker one way or the other. So with that, well, one more thing. Bill O'Reilly talks about bloviating. The word bloviating, I looked it up, and it means being a windbag. It usually is applied to politicians. I know that I bloviate. And so, but this meeting, I promise I won't, and I'm hoping my other board members are the same. We have a lot of work to do. So I hope that we say our piece, make our vote, and move on. So with that, would you read the public comment?
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners, which is required to be open to the public under the provisions of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak. Public comment will be solicited during 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4, Orders of Business. However, public comment will generally be received at any time during the meeting regarding a specific topic currently under discussion by the board. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson. I also have a sign sheet here on the desk next to me, so after you're speaking, if you could please print your name and your topic, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Now, anybody from the public like to speak on any topic, please don't be shy. We do want to hear from you. Come on up, please. We'll start with you, Mr. Baykeeper.
After Spike.
I'm John Nelson. I live at 4022 Incochee Crest Commons, and I'm here to speak on the Boardman River Dams project in favor of moving forward with that. Many of us have been involved in this project by our attendance at multiple meetings and by our commitment of official votes during this long public process. Let us now commit to its completion. I want to this evening specifically to speak as a county taxpayer. If the Boardman and Sabin dams remain in place, the numbers I have, which I believe are before you as well, demonstrate a liability of some $3 to $5 million to preserve, repair, and/or modify these dams, and that liability remains into the future. Our local county liability in partnership with the Army Corps of Engineers is approximately $1.5 million, and the 100-year-old dams are then removed from future consideration with the added benefit of a river reborn. From a fiscal conservative viewpoint, it seems sensible that we move ahead with this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And who is next? Yes, come on up. Thank you.
Well, good evening, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Gabe Schneider. I reside at 5119 Silver Cove Drive. And I also would like to speak on the Boardman Dams Restoration Project. I'm here tonight on behalf of the 350 sportsmen and women that make up the Adams chapter of Trout Unlimited, of which I'm the Vice President. And we would like to state our support for the Boardman River Dams Removal Project and ask that the county sign a letter of intent with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to continue this project. The Adams chapter is committed to the conservation, protection, and restoration of our Northwest Michigan rivers. Founded 20 years ago and named after the Adams fly developed in Mayfield, our chapter's home river is the Boardman River. Therefore, we've been keenly interested and involved in the Boardman Dams project from the beginning. Specifically, as a leading conservation organization, we are encouraged that once these dams are removed, there will be three main benefits to the river. These are a reduction in the thermal pollution. The Boardman River is a cold water river, and dams such as these and their subsequent impoundments significantly warm the waters of the river. Dam removal will restore the river to its natural cold water system. Connectivity. A physical barrier such as a dam fragments the riverine ecosystem and does not allow for the passage of fish, reptiles, and other species, which depend upon unencumbered river for their long-term sustainability. The removal of these dams will reconnect 179 miles of river and stream, allowing for the natural habitats to be reconnected. Also, the economic benefits to the community are another area in which we are focused. Extensive research has found that the top-rated blue ribbon Michigan trout streams, unencumbered by dams, result in an estimated $10,000 per river mile annually of local economic impact. However, in place, these dams are a long-term economic liability. Removal of the dams will result in the realization of this economic gain and elimination of this liability for the entire river system. Therefore, we are respectfully asking that the Commission send a letter of intent to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to reaffirm the commitment made by this governing body on December 9, 2009 to pursue dam removal. This remarkable opportunity to restore the Boardman to a free-flowing cold water community asset will never be presented again. Sincerely, the Adams Chapter Board of Directors. And I'd like to leave the letter with you if I may.
Yes, you may. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming up. Yes, come on up, please.
Ann Rogers, 1236 Peninsula Drive, Traverse City, and I'm currently co-chair of NEMIAC, Northern Michigan Environmental Action Council. We have about approximately 1,400 members, And our board has voted totally in support of this from the very beginning, so I'm hoping that you will move ahead with it. It's time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Please don't be shy. Oh, come on up, yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Cowell. I'm at 117 Homestead Court, Peninsula Township. Tonight I've been asked to come and speak on behalf of the Friends of Easling Pool. And I think we do have some pool folks here, maybe a show of hands. Fantastic. Thank you all very much for coming. And these folks are here, and I hope you share in that because they're excited and hopeful that tonight we put the Easling Pool on a positive trajectory. That tonight we put the Easling Pool on the best footing it's been on in a very, very long time, and move forward with a really exciting opportunity, an opportunity to seize on partnerships, an opportunity to seize on a lot of goodwill amongst users in the greater community for this really important asset, a really crucial community asset, and one that, again, has really a really bright future provided we take that first step together tonight. So thank you very much, as always, for your time and your consideration, and we'll look forward to the rest of the evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, come on up, please.
Good evening. I'm Marcia Smith. I'm Executive Director of Rotary Charities and Rotary Camps and Services here in Traverse City. I am urging you, as I have in the past, to support the letter of intent that will go forward to the Army Corps of Engineers for proceeding with the Boardman River Dam removal. Our foundation has been involved in this project since the get-go. We were actually the initial money that was put into the project to lead the citizen input process. We think there's been adequate citizen input, and clearly there is a commitment on the behalf of ourselves, the Army Corps of Engineers, originally signed letters of commitment from the county board and the city to move forward. So I urge you to do that. More specifically, I wanted to talk to you about one of the items that's also in the packet regarding the requests for proposals. I came before the commission and talked to them about our commitment, that is Rotary Charities and Rotary Camps and Services, to see this project through to conclusion, and said to you that we are willing to put our resources and assets on the line to help leverage other regional, state, and national funding. And we are, in fact, committed to do that. In fact, we have done that. So I have, and I'll leave with the clerk, a copy of a request for proposal that we have accepted from a consulting firm, Beckett Rader, to do almost exactly the same work that is outlined in your request for proposals. So I'm here to urge you to save the taxpayers that money. Let us pick up that burden. We'd be glad to work in conjunction with the selected county project manager, whomever that may be, as we move forward. We will have, as you will see in the outline, and I've highlighted it for you, actually a plan, strategies that include partners, amounts that we will move forward and have in place by December 31st. We have, in fact, already submitted a proposal in conjunction with CRA, Conservation Resource Alliance, which we will continue to work with, to a private funder for $315,000. These kinds of relationships are built through our long time standing as a member of the Council of Michigan Foundation, an active philanthropist. You don't get that kind of relationship and that kind of connection with just a cold grant writer who's calling on folks because you've seen their list. We've got relationships. We're willing to leverage those relationships. We think this project is that important to our region. So I urge you to put the request for proposal on hold at least, or remove it, and let us try to help the county leverage dollars. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Coming up, sir.
My name is Patrick Kelly. I reside at 8648 Peninsula Drive, Peninsula Township. Good evening. A hypothetical case here. I am imagining that if I owned those dams and their resultant liability, I would think Christmas had come early if the Army Corps had offered me $8 million to try to dispose of them. The second point I'd like to make is that if I considered the people who, in all of the agencies who for several years have been trying to raise money in order to fund this project, I would, if I refused to go forward with it and utilize these resources, I would be hard-pressed to ask them again for their help in the future on other projects that might be similar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Anybody else?
Excuse me.
Okay,
Oh, we got one more.
you first. All right. You first, yeah.
Thank you. I'm Donna Gearhart. It's from 780 Hammond Road East, Traverse City, Michigan, East Bay Township. I'm here to talk about the Eastling Pool and beg for that one. We do need to have our water in our pool, and I know that we have the men and women, boys and girls that can afford to go there, and they have to have the water temperature the way they have it there. And, I mean, I've been swimming there for 38 years, and it's just been a wonderful thing, and I know my children, my grandchildren, and so many other people, too. And I think we just need to have that pool saved if there's any way. And I know that different people, the Y is trying to help, and there's other people that are trying to get in on that, too. So please, if there's a chance, let's save our pool. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Bridget Tente. I live at 4517 Ground Pine Trail. I'm also here to talk about the pool. Since the Silver Lake YMCA opened, it has provided thousands of people opportunities for wellness. There's truly a new buzz in town that wasn't there before. People are making it a priority to take care of themselves and strive toward fitness. Being active is becoming the new norm for residents of all ages. The positive impact the new Y has had on our community is truly awesome. We now have an opportunity to reach even more people in our community by having the county partner with the Y to take over operations at the Civic Center. This, quote, Eastside Y would provide a huge community benefit and help fill the need for fitness opportunities for all, namely those of various income levels. Just like there's a need for affordable housing in the Traverse City area, there's also a need for affordable wellness opportunities. As currently planned, this Eastside Y would offer lower monthly rates than those at the Silver Lake Y, putting wellness opportunities in reach of many who can't afford a full YMCA membership. This is an exciting time for the county. We have a wonderful opportunity before us. I urge you to let the Y continue the positive momentum they have created. Let's help the Civic Center reach its full potential while meeting the needs of all Grand Traverse County residents by getting this pool open, letting the Y run it, and keeping wellness opportunities affordable for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on up.
Good evening. My name is, excuse me, Rose Sickle, 750 Center Place, Traverse City, Michigan. I just wanted to touch base on some of the issues that she raised about the Y. She was I have swam at the Eastland Pool for about 10 years. I paid a yearly fee, and with that yearly fee, we were allowed to come as much as we wanted during the week. I understand that some of our swimmers have gone to the Y, and even though they paid their monthly fee or the yearly fee, there was a limit of 20 people per class. At the Civic Center Eastling Pool, sometimes we have 30 or 40, and I know people here have said we don't have enough people swimming, but we really do. And that was my concern, what the pay will be. She's talking about paying monthly, and who's going to manage that? Will we have to go to the Y, or will they take care of us at Eastling Pool? Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's good to hear from you guys. Anybody else? Please don't be shy. Remember, you have another time to speak. When anything comes up that you want, that we bring up, you can talk then, and you can also talk at the end of the meeting. Would you like to speak, sir?
Joshua King, 3036 Pineview Drive, Garfield Township. I'm here as a taxpayer and fellow business owner, a little taken back this week that our administrator needs an assistant that's going to cost over $100,000 a year. We're currently sitting not able to pay our bills. We're sitting with no HR director. We're sitting with no central dispatch director, but yet we're here to vote on an assistant for somebody who's newly hired that says he can do the job. I just ask that we really look at how we're spending the money, where we can spend it, save it. You know, we just increased non-contractual employees 4% out of their pocket and froze their wages. And I assume you're going to try to go after the contractual employees and try to bargain with them as well to do the same. It's hard to justify opening up a whole new position with that kind of money. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? We want to hear from you. In the back? Going once? Twice? All right, that's it. But you'll have another opportunity in case you're just a little shy right now. Okay, we're going to go on to approval of the agenda. I would like to have someone make a motion to add the county Medicare supplement plan. Is there anyone willing to make that motion?
I would move to approve the agenda with the addition of the county Medicare supplement plan.
Okay, and the reason why we have to do this tonight, folks, is that this is a time deadline. So is there a second?
Support.
Okay. Any discussion?
Are you putting it down under unfinished business?
Yeah, I'd be under unfinished business, yeah.
I had an addition to the agenda too. We normally do it all in one motion rather than by individual item.
Okay.
So if I could have them, their motions to add under new business, elimination of commissioner pensions.
Okay, are you guys
Are Chris
willing
and
to
Carol
first
okay
and
with
second
that?
that? Can we add that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I'm good.
All right. Any discussion on those? And that'll be under new business,
New business
right?
one.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Then we go on to the consent calendar, and that stars Sarah again.
Purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file, or approval is approved by a single committee action adopting the consent calendar. All information identified on the consent calendar can be viewed in its entirety at www.grandtraverse.org. There's no receive and file. B, approvals. 1, local health department grant, Michigan DEQ Office of Drinking Water and Municipal Assistance renewal. 2, dental services agreement, amendment number 18, renewal. Number 3, fiscal year 2015 to 2016, child and adolescent health center grant agreement, Kingsley, renewal. 4, fiscal year 2015 to 2016, child and adolescent health center grant agreement, youth health and wellness center, renewal. 5, academic affiliation agreement with Davenport University. 6, memorandum of understanding with Munson Medical Center regarding sexual assault nurse examiner training.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience who wants to remove something off the consent calendar and have it individually looked at? Anybody on staff? Anybody on the board? Okay. And can I have a motion to accept the consent calendar as?
I would move that we accept the consent calendar as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Then we go to special order of business. Do we have any? I don't think so. Items removed from the consent calendar, nothing. Now we're at department action items, and this stars Wendy, I think.
Wendy Truitt, Health Officer, Grand Traverse County Health Department, and
Mike Leahy, Grand Traverse County Health Department Emergency Preparedness.
so we are here for the third time to hopefully finalize what we've been presenting to you for a few months leading up to tonight, which is a intergovernmental agreement between 3 local health departments for the purposes of creating an emergency preparedness team that will help us collectively work together on our planning and then staff training and exercises in order to be more efficient. It's all federal grant dollars, and there is a local match, but we are doing it with in-kind dollars, so there's no general funds that comes out of it. And essentially, the process will allow us to leverage and maximize the dollars that we get from CDC and the state in order to accomplish more at the local level, so more that we can do for our community. And the benefit is that it creates, by pooling our dollars together and sharing staff for this, it creates a pool of an additional $48,000 that we can use in the 3 health departments to help pay for the training and the exercises, which is something that the CDC is now requiring in this next grant year. And as a result of this collaborative effort, we essentially have a $35,000 bonus grant waiting for us. Mike wrote for it. It's a health innovation grant that if the intergovernmental agreement is approved by all 3 boards, it is dollars that we additionally can use to help supplement this agreement in the team.
Okay. Anything else?
I think last time there was some questions about whether or not there was a way, if you weren't happy, to get out of it. Chris Forsyth did draft the agreement, and worked with a lawyer who represents the other 2 local health departments, and he did build in a 90-day out clause for any. There's no additional liability. The liability remains with the employees at each of their respective health departments. So from that perspective, it really is it's a good thing for us in our community.
Why don't we do this then, in order for expedience tonight? Let's get a motion and a second, discuss it.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the Northern Michigan Public Health Emergency Preparedness Agreement.
Would you say that 3 times?
Not tonight.
Okay. Support. Is there a second? Dr. Johnson. Okay, now discussion.
I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to recognize Grand Traverse County's leadership in our region, and we are very fortunate to have qualified professionals in our departments that are able to help coordinate what's best for our community. And when I talk about our community, there's not a cement wall at the Benzie County line or the Leelanau County line. Both of them are within 4 miles of my house. So I have this really tough time when people talk about county lines and county services as being a very constant district. We have to talk about what's best for our community as a whole.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? Yes.
Just to reiterate, this wasn't a stepping stone to the large regional health department. This in no way makes us liable at all.
None of the 3 health departments have any intent of becoming regional. It does make sense for this particular topic, though, or this program.
Right. Yep. This is just emergency preparedness.
Just preparedness, and it just makes sense from an efficiency standpoint.
Well, and it deals with the issues that we had last spring when we had the measles situation and the communicable diseases that were in our schools that affected our whole region, so it allows us to prepare for those regionally.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, the motion, second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
Is it possible to have immediate approval? We have 2 more boards that needs to sign off in the next 2 weeks.
Sonny loves
Hand raised.
Talk to Chris.
I'm pushing the limits.
I will amend my motion to ask for immediate approval, and if Mr. Johnson will approve, we will ask Sarah to do a roll call vote and
All
and
right.
you can have a signature tonight.
All right.
Benzie Leland Board, their Board of Health meets once a quarter, and it's tomorrow. So if we can get a signature tonight, that helps us just expedite the process. So
If we
sorry
didn't
about
like you
that.
so much.
And Sonny loves immediate.
Yeah, Sonny really likes immediate approvals.
Yeah, he loves that. We're just doing that to pick on Sonny. Okay, let's do a roll call then.
Coropa,
Yes.
Wheelock,
Yes.
Klaus,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Max Bauer,
Yes.
Lathrop.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. Thanks, nice job, both of you. Okay, what's next? IT Department. Who's here to?
Randy.
Come on.
Randy.
I'm Randy Filkins, telecom coordinator for the county. What I'm trying to accomplish tonight is approval for a voicemail system replacement for a system that we've had since 2008. It's 7 years old. We're looking to replace it because we've had some issues with it. And some of the feature set has some limitations that we've been working around for the last 7 years. And so when we bought it, I decided early on that I wasn't going to replace it with the same system. I wasn't going to upgrade it. I was going to wait, get the use out of it, and then go and look for something else. So that's what we did. We sent out 114 companies were in the bid process. We got 2 responses. One of them, the low bid was $35,256.46 for the system, and maintenance at $2,851.67 a year. The other bid that we got was for $98,000, $433, excuse me, and the maintenance was $11,441.35 a year. That was out of our limit. We didn't even go through that one because it was so much different than the one that was the low bid. So anyway, AVST is the one that we decided on. If you look down through there, through the itemized cost and price analysis, they're quite a bit lower than what we paid for the system that we have right now. The system that we paid for in 2008 cost us $90,900. And this is quite a bit less than that. This is 61% less than we had originally paid. And the feature set is adequate for what we want, and it's actually more versatile than the system that we have right now. It will interface with Gmail, which we're already using as a county, which the present system will not do. And there's quite a few features that are above the other system that we can't do now. So the maintenance is like 74% less than what we're paying now. It's a fraction of what we're paying now. We're paying $10,000 a year, and that's only $2,851 a year. So it's quite a bit of a savings. It's a lot. It's a system that does everything the one we have now does for less than half the cost. So my recommendation is that we award this to Strategic Projects and Services. They're a reseller of AVST, which is the actual system we're buying, for the sum of $35,256.46. That would be amortized out over 6 years, and it is in the budget for this year and the proposed budget for next year already. So, and also they gave us 2 choices for maintenance options, one for a 1-year agreement or a 3-year agreement, but the cost savings for the 3-year agreement makes me, I want to recommend the other one. So that would be an annual price of $2,851.67 a year.
Didn't hear, was that you were recommending which one, the 2-year agreement?
I'm recommending a 3-year agreement.
3-year agreement,
Over
okay.
the 1-year agreement. It's a cost savings.
All right.
So,
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Let's start with a motion. Yes.
I would move to approve the IT recommendation to award the, what is it, the, hang on a minute here, the voice system to Strategic Products and Services to replace the county's current voicemail system with the AVST CXE system for the sum of $35,256.46, and to recommend that the county take advantage of the reduced cost for premium Express Care prepaid maintenance coverage for a 3-year term at an annual cost of $2,851.67 per year.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, the motion second, now discussion. Yes, sir.
Randy, I guess I have to question. If we send packets to 114 vendors,
Yes.
and we got 2 bids,
I know. I expect to get like 50 out of that, and I don't.
then the fact that the lowest bid is a third of what we paid for a system in 2008. It doesn't compute in my head how can we be buying a product that, is going to meet our needs, or at least we perceive that it's going to meet our needs. We got 2 bids. One of them is a third of what we paid for in 2008, and the other one is basically the same amount of money that we bought in 2008.
Correct.
I'm trying to figure out how that makes sense. I know you guys do due diligence when you look at the bids and make sure everything is there, but it just seems really strange to me that I've got 2 bids. One of them is a third of what we paid almost 10 years ago. The other one is for the same money we paid for 10 years ago, and we're not even considering the second one. We're only considering the first one.
Well, if I can jump in there. I did talk to Randy about that a little bit, and the SBS, that vendor is considered an Avaya business partner, and what they do, we have worked with them in the past, and what they do is they offer them the best discounting. And so a lot of others will not even bid against them, since we have worked with them in the past, and that's how Avaya has designated them as a Grand Traverse business partner. So I know sometimes I feel like, is it truly an open bid process? But sometimes that's just how the vendors work. They pick that partner or who we work with, they give them that best level discount, and the other vendors out there know that. And so a lot of times we don't get those bids from other vendors.
Anybody else? Yes, Doctor.
How much of that is in this year's budget?
This, when it's approved, because of the fund that this is accounted for, we have to set, we're including it in next year's budget, and it lowers our cost. This is in a fund that has to charge or recover all of its costs from all of the users. So departments within the county will pay for their share of the voicemail system. We have the city of Traverse City. Are they using the voicemail?
Yes, they pay
So we're
too.
spreading it among, the cost is in the proposed budget, and the budget is actually lower than the 2015 budget, so.
I mean, it looks like just with the maintenance, annual maintenance, in a few years, you've recouped your cost here. I mean, it's kind of outrageous, the 10,000.
It is.
I just have trouble with this.
It's, the newer technology too is a good part of it.
What if we waited a year?
If you waited a year, I would have to get another, I've made the maintenance, I've got a 1-year maintenance agreement for the existing system. I would have to extend that.
So there'd be another 10K?
It would be 15.
Oh. So
15K.
No.
I can do this math in my head.
It's a 1-year contract, it's higher.
Any more comments or questions for these gentlemen? There's been discussion, motion, and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. Do we need to do a roll call?
No.
Okay.
No? Okay.
Thanks. Okay, it passes.
Thank you.
All right, what's next here? Parks and Recreation Management of Easling Pool, business plans. Who's going to take this?
If you don't mind, the Parks and Recreation President would say a little bit before the plan's presented, if that's all
Do you have a
right.
driver's license? Can you prove your identity?
I can, sir. Just to be on the record, John Roth, President of Grand Traverse County Parks and Recreation Commission Board.
Thank you.
Just want a little bit of discussion about how we got to where we're at presenting this plan to you tonight. You know, obviously, the pool trajectory of revenue has not been good over the last few years. Membership's down, as Dr. Lathrop, you pointed out. It was quite obvious. So we looked at all kinds of options to do a better job at managing the pool. Well, the Y came in touch with us, and we talked to the Y about doing that. And started out, we were looking at about a $200,000 management fee. Got that down to around $175, $150, $112. And then we got it down to 50. Working hard, Chris and Jay worked very hard to get that management fee down to 50 grand. Many have discussed why that couldn't be at zero. We looked at that with them, and at a $24,000 cost to run the pool per month, if we were giving them $50,000, we are getting 10 months free. So we think that's a pretty good deal from the Parks and Rec Board. That seems to be the sticking point a little bit, is the management fee. I know many have shared concern with that. There are possibility, well, one is that we have that money by closing the pool early, which didn't set real well. We actually have that in fund balance, so there's a way to put that going ahead to next year right away. The other possibilities are, there are some possibility at fundraising to get the 50 back. Not guaranteed unless we make this deal, but it's possible. So just to throw that out there. And we looked over the numbers very carefully. To keep the pool open is about the same cost as closing the pool. If we decide to close the pool and make it into some other option, we're talking about probably another 50 grand on top of that to change it into some other operation. Our overall balance, or fund balance, or allocation, we're talking about a 50% decrease in what we got last year. Then we look at even the expenditure part of it. We are looking at a 2/3 or a third drop in actual expenditure costs for next year's expenditures. So there's quite a savings, 200,000, possibly 400,000. I know the numbers are still being worked with Dean, so I don't want to lock those in exact, but that's what we're looking at. The one problem with going to a zero management fee was the price the Y would charge would be very close, if not more, than the Y at Silver Lake. I think personally that's setting them up for failure. I don't think that can be done immediately. They have a very good plan. They're going to share that with you, so I'm not going to bust their thunder, but I want you to, if you would please, look at the numbers carefully. They've set up the benchmarks for us. They're telling you what they expect to see, and if we don't see that, that's the benchmarks. Just a one rotten theory I'm going to throw out there, hypothesis, next year. Let's say we start January 1, we have 100 members, and we have 100 members in September when we do our 9-month review. Pool is closing because the committee didn't support it. But they've set up a very, what I think actually in their numbers is conservative, what they think they can do. What they've done at Silver Lake is, I'm not going to go over their numbers, that's their business, but the numbers are astounding. And what they're talking about doing at the Easling Pool is a smittens compared to what they've done at the Y at Silver Lake. But if we can get to their numbers, we're talking about no management fees very shortly. One of the other things I wanted to address was going to one of the Friends of Easling Pool meetings, one of the ones they first organized. I too had the understanding, I think Mr. Klaus has shared that he thought many of the members would be city members. The city was a minority. I don't want to be bad with the numbers. City was probably about 45% to 55% of the county, and just about every township was there. There were people from Blair Township. There were people from the city of Kingsley. There were
Union? Was Union Township?
I don't know about Union. That one you might have got me on, Doc.
12 of them were busy.
Union, there was Whitewater, though. Whitewater had somebody there. Long Lake had people there. So the county was represented very well at that meeting. So we can't say that it's strictly city. Jay's plan is very good. Christine's plan, both the business plans, I think, work very well. They've done a great job putting it together. I am concerned if the pool goes away, that what else will happen to the Civic Center. I'm very concerned by that. I don't like to be lectured by the city how we will run our parks when they have a splash pad and trains and zoos and other things that haven't gone real well for them. We've done a great job at Parks and Rec. It's been just 2 years that I've been on the board, but we've started to do those things, maintain our stuff that we have in the county already. That was my first thing I said when I was interviewed for the position to be on the board, was to maintain the things we have today. Don't look at anything more, let's maintain what we have. And that's what we've been doing for the last 2 years. Other than that, I'm going to let Christine and Jay come up. Just wanted to share what the board has been thinking at Parks and Rec.
Thank you very
guys.
much, John. Thank you.
Okay, talk amongst yourself for a moment. Thank you.
John, has this been discussed yet at the Parks and Rec, or are we kind of doing this backwards today?
No. Numbers have gone through, Bob,
Okay.
but we have not discussed any.
You got your meeting tomorrow, right?
We have a meeting tomorrow. We're kind of looking for what the support is at the county commission. We're not looking to set up any kind of confrontational situation.
Well, no, I mean,
But
you know,
if
you don't want
there's-
to take away what the board, because, I mean, they
Correct.
do good work there at the Parks and
Yep.
Rec Commission.
Well, thank you, Bob.
I think it's the leadership there.
We did approve a budget, though, that included the particular management agreement that Jay will be discussing. So that's kind of a head nod from the Parks Board that that's what they would like to see. And if this board goes in a different direction, then we will be discussing a new budget tomorrow night, I think.
That's right.
And how we will move forward with that. So we didn't want to do a final vote because really it hinged on the budget.
Yeah, the budget's going to make the difference, and if there's no support at the county commission level, then that's it. But we're hoping there is.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Chris Erickson. I'm Director of Grand Traverse County Parks and Recreation. And I'm here again. Thank you for having me back to talk about the pool. Our commission did actually recommend that the Y take over operations of Easling Pool, and that's why we're here, is to share that recommendation with you and to build on the vision that Jay, the CEO of the Y, and I shared with you last month. I just have a short slide presentation just to give you some reminders and comparisons of what we're going to talk about. I've sent you a very hefty packet, supplemental packet. Thank you for looking through that. And there have been additions all along the way. This has been a very complicated process, but boy, do we know a lot about our pool now that I don't think we knew a while ago. And all of you have asked me prompting questions, which have been completely helpful. Commissioner Johnson especially. It's been great. So the Easling Pool history in 1970, according to the records that we have, and there's a historical portion of your packet that I included, Easling Pool opened. At some point between 71 and 73, the funds for the operations were depleted, and the Easling Memorial Fund forfeited its lease. The Easling Memorial Fund was the civic-minded group that started that fund, citizens who raised money and built that pool. In 1973, then, the pool building reverted back to the county. At that time, instead of a Parks Commission, there was the County Building and Grounds Committee, and they recommended to the county board that the pool be financed, that the project be financed by the county, the city, Traverse City Public Schools, and Northwest Michigan College Board. That Grounds Committee recommended that the county board pledge its support to reopen and operate the building and the pool if those partnerships were secured. We have no record of those partnerships ever being secured. We have a resolution from the county board saying that that would happen, that they supported it, but we have nothing saying it ever really happened. So the county took over the pool and they reopened it, and they received a DNR grant through a contract for $10,000. At that time, in the resolution from the county board said that the city would agree to pay 50% of any loss above $10,000, with its share not exceeding $6,000. We don't have a record of that happening either. So continuing with the Easling Pool history, in October of 1973, There's also a recommendation from that grounds committee that said it is agreed that no student should graduate from Traverse City High School not knowing how to swim. There's a federally funded program for fourth grade students to learn to swim. I believe that program was used, but like I said, I'm not sure that TCAPS was involved with the pool at that point. It kind of makes me sad when I go back and look at the pool's history and the fact that it's been run the exact same way ever since. I wish there had been more of a commitment to have every child learn how to swim, like there is with the Y and the third graders right now, but it doesn't appear that that happened for very long or that there was wide community support for that. So I'm going to talk about the Easling Pool itself right now. It is the only community pool in the Grand Traverse area. It's valued at $1 million according to our insurer. It is a valid asset. It is a living asset. It has 6 lanes, 25 yards with a shallow teaching area. This is debatable, but we believe it holds 155,000 gallons of water. That changes within 10,000 gallons every year when we drain and refill that pool. It also has a sauna. And if you're from the UP, you say sauna instead of sauna. So we have traditionally, and we still, this past year, have supported 21 user groups. We estimate this is about 15,000 people. We're not sure of that exactly because it's a different number every week depending on the group. Sometimes TBA ISD will have 30 people, sometimes they'll have 15. But we've touched, we believe, at least 15,000 individuals through those user groups. I'll just name a few of them for you. And I sent all of you this PowerPoint so you could follow along if you have access to your email right now. Grand Traverse Industries, the Coast Guard, the Traverse City Youth Triathlon most recently, the girls swim team. Freshman water safety training has started in the past few years. We've trained over 1,000 freshmen about water safety. The Traverse Bay Area Intermediate School District, Special Olympics through TCAPS, TCAPS Special Education, YMC's Camp Hiawatha, the City County Day Camp, and more. I understand from the Y that they cannot accommodate all of these user groups in the future. They don't have the capacity to do that. So ideally, if the Y were operating Easling Pool, they would be able to accommodate all of these groups, and I know that Jay and I have discussed the fact that they want to be able to do that. On average, we've offered at Easling Pool the past few years from 260 to 300. We've accommodated 260 to 300 students in our private and semi-private American Red Cross lessons. Again, I wish that were more. We didn't really have the resources to promote our lessons the way we wanted to, but they still seemed to, by word of mouth and whatever we posted online, happen. There were years when people were waiting in line. There were years when people were not. So these are some of the membership numbers that we've had from 2009 to present. Commissioner Max Bauer, you know as well as I do that these are not accurate, and they never will be, because of the software system that we use. The exercise memberships used to be lumped in with the masters, and it's just kind of been evolving. We've segmented it out as best as we can, but some of these are repeat visits. Where some people make repeat visits, of course, throughout the week. But these are the total numbers of memberships that we can tell were purchased throughout each of these years, regardless of whether it was a 3-month, a 6-month, or a full year. We have general memberships, and we have, those are individual or their family, and that's under the pool column on the left. Then we have exercise memberships. Then we have master's memberships, which did not start being counted until the very end of 2012, as you can see there. So in 2009, you see we started out with 199 memberships. And in 2015, through October, we had 464 memberships purchased. So in your packets that I included, our county administrator, Mr. Menzel, requested that I prepare some business plans for you. Commissioner Kropa helped me do that. I have to say it was like preparing my thesis only in 2 weeks' time. And I didn't really know what I was doing, but we got through it, and I think I have a much better understanding of the pool. And the format, you can see what it says to you. The format, I think, could have worked better for us if I were to repackage this. I have ideas about how to do that, but for this purpose, I hope it will give you the picture that you need to have to make this vote. So business case number 1 is where the YMCA operates the pool through a partnership agreement. Business case number 2 is where Grand Traverse County Parks and Recreation operates Easling Pool. We've never been able to operate it the way that we'd like to. We've never had the appropriate resources, staff, and the time allocations to it. If we were to do that, we would do it completely differently under a different business model. I don't think that's one everybody's going to consider. I'm going to focus on cases 1 and 3. Business case 3 is where we close the pool indefinitely or forever. Business case number 4 is where we transform a pool into an alternate recreational space. I don't think that would happen immediately. That would have to happen when the county is flush and we have fund balance in parks and we have a plan for something like that. So I'm going to compare business plans 1 and 3. The county costs compared to whether the Y operates the pool or whether the pool closes. So under the Y scenario, chemicals, the county would not be paying for the chemicals for the pool. If the pool closes, of course, we wouldn't pay for those. Utilities, the county would be paying for utilities, and that goes under the facilities management budget. And those utilities would be paid for until the Y has reached 400 members. Then the Y would assume paying for utilities. There would still be utilities costs if the pool closes, probably about half that much. We would still have to heat that space because the mechanical room off of that space would require a furnace installed, and we still would need to heat the area so the floor wouldn't buckle and things like that, from what I understand. I have reached out to our facilities management to help me make these determinations, and I've worked closely with our aquatic source. He has pro bono acted as my pool consultant for commercial pools for a year now. Facilities management labor would be required still if the Y operates the pool. They would still maintain the building itself, and they would still maintain the grounds. And those costs are spread out among the departments that are within the Civic Center. So there's Howe Arena, there's the meeting room, and the Parks and Rec office, and then there's the pool. And so the facilities management costs that are for the entire property are spread out among those areas. So that would still be required, and it would still be required if the pool closes. I don't see that cost going away. There would be no county pool staff, and when I say that, I'm talking about our part-time lifeguards that were there and some of the part-time office staff that we used for the pool. That would go away if the Y operates the pool. That would go away, obviously, if the pool closes. The full-time park staff would remain, but our costs would be, our salaries would be reallocated among the other parks that we have and the other line items in the parks budget. That totals about $106,000 for our full-time secretary, for our office manager, and for my salary. And you'll see that showing up in every one of those scenarios, and that's what $100,000 of the cost in each of those scenarios will be. That will still be reallocated if the pool closes. The pool business office would not be used. There would be no costs for that with the Y operating, except for the phone the first year, because we'll be doing some cross promotions, answering some of the same questions. It just makes sense to keep that phone in place for all of us to use if necessary, that phone number. There would be no phone or use of the pool business office or the copier or things like that if the pool closes. So to continue the comparison, if the Y operates the pool, the cost to the county, or I'm sorry, the revenue for the county, there would be none realized, as well as if the pool closes. There would be a management fee to the Y. That would be the $50,000 that we're proposing, and we're hoping that would go away very quickly, because once they reach 700 members, that fee would go away as well. There would be no management fee required, of course, if the pool closes. The cost to put the pool to sleep, there would be none if the Y operates the pool. There would be a cost to put the pool to sleep or to close it permanently. There would be no meeting room revenue if the Y operates the pool, because they'll be taking over our meeting room to use it as an exercise workout area to make the Y at Easling Pool a more attractive option to build up those memberships. And that's the business plan that has worked for them. That's why they have such a high membership at the Y right now. We would lose about $8,000 from that meeting revenue. And we would still have meeting revenue, though, meeting room revenue, if the pool closed. In that case,
hopefully we would have a chance to allocate some dollars to promoting it better if that were to happen. So ultimately, again, the Parks and Recreation Commission's recommendation is that all of you commissioners please consider approving an agreement with the Grand Traverse Bay YMCA to occupy and operate Easling Pool, the Easling Pool Business Office in the Civic Center meeting room by January 1st, 2016. The YMCA would be responsible for all management operations and staffing, operations including chemicals. And as owners of the asset, the county would be responsible for maintaining the facility and just initially, utilities expenses. We propose this just for 1 year to give us a chance to partner with the Y for 1 year to continue to serve the public, to continue to keep prices lower for them, to have this wellness opportunity to continue for those user groups, and to expand some of the WISE programs over to use Easling Pool as well. If something fails during the year, if we find out at that 9-month mark that people aren't purchasing memberships, then we'll close the pool, just like President Roth said. If we find that we have any mechanicals failing, we're going to have to revisit that with the Parks Board and just probably close the pool until we figure that out. However, if we work this out with the Y, where it works with us to assume operations, my plan is to apply for a grant, probably a 2% grant in December from the Grand Traverse Band to start work on the mechanical room, which is about $86,000 of the $500,000 of work that the pool needs. In your packet, I have letters explaining what's been assessed at the pool and what our needs are. Those are from Aquatic Source and from Michigan Aquatic Products, I think. I can't remember right now. I apologize. But those are in your packet. I have had, the CEO of the YJ is very familiar with pools. Our Aquatic Source gentleman, Nick Shelton, who's been consulting with me, they believe that our pool is good to go. Nothing's going to fail tomorrow. That's why the Y is willing to take a risk with it. And that's why we would start making plans to continue for this to be a viable, usable resource for our community, an asset for the county. If we close it, it will continue to depreciate, and then it's worthless to anybody unless we come up with another option for it. We can keep it sleeping, whereas we keep water in the pool, probably at least until April before we have to take action, according to my consultant. We, of course, would seek more consultation on that from others just to make absolutely sure where we could go with it. This would happen if we decided to close the pool, but we could keep water in there that long. Then we have to look at some other ways to save costs and closing it permanently if this is what you choose to do. I would urge you to please consider us doing things differently in a new way, starting completely over again with this pool and working with the Y to expand opportunities for our community and to revisit this again at the end of next year and to hopefully work on all cylinders by then. We have the potential of obtaining a planning grant from Rotary Charities to make a plan for equipment purchases, replacements, and we will use that planning grant to prioritize after the mechanical room. We can prioritize everything else and make a plan for how we want to get our funds, when we want to get them, and when we want to make replacements. We also, Jay from the Y has put together his own business plan to supplement the one that I shared with you for the Y. I believe it's very sound. As President Ross said, there are benchmarks built in there. We have measurements attached to that. And in Parks and Recreation, if this is approved and we finalize our budget, we can build our own benchmarks for keeping that pool going with minimal, staff involvement. And we can just work on getting funds and then go from there, hopefully continuing the partnership with the Y. So I'm going to turn this over right now to the CEO of the Y, Jay Buckmaster, and after that, he and I can both answer questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We had a great first year opening Silver Lake, and we embarked on a new vision. It's called Vision 2020. initially it didn't have anything about the Civic Center in it. And so this is an opportunity that we started talking about back in April, and do feel that it fits inside of our mission to continue to provide great opportunities for kids, families, and adults to recreate, connect, and to grow together. And so a little bit about the business plan that you all received, the WISE role. So I just want to talk briefly about what the WISE role is going to be. Of course, running all pool operations, swim lessons, group fitness classes, lap swimming, open swim, family swim, those types of things, providing opportunities with the 27 groups, community groups that you heard about from Chris. Assume all chemical purchasing, testing, water chemistry, balancing, all state forms, those types of things. Hire, train all employees, so that liability, of course, would fall on the YMCA. Implement a new pricing structure, which was talked a little bit about, and convert it to really our Y operational software, so we can track things like usage and different things, and it would be a real seamless thing from our Y operations side. You know, we think we can provide some scope and some scale to really highlight and improve service and increase community usage and participation. I'll share that in the business plan, and provide some relevant and, you know, existing and new programming to help serve this community. So we also would, for us, look at the part of this business model, and it goes really into, you know, what we'll invest in this. The Y has not found a way, magically, to operate this facility less than the hundreds of thousands of dollars it's currently used to operate it. There's no magic pill that the Y has to be able to do that. We're trying to be able to make this business plan work on the income side. I mean, it's still going to cost, $250,000 to do it, and we're not going to change that. We just have a plan to be able to work it on the income side and to really create a different strategy. And so for us, it's about accessible and affordable recreation. That's what attracts us really to this plan here. So from the Y side, it costs about $125,000 to just open the pool. Open swim every day, day in and day out, 50 weeks a year. That's not going to change. That cost doesn't change. Whether we have 10 members or whether we have 10,000 members, you still have to have that investment in there. And so the Y, that's that's $100,000, as well as just this transition, chemicals, business office support. We have all the same things that is currently used to do that. If we look at the fitness side area, there's new equipment in there. That's about a $75,000 purchase. There's all the staffing and all the renovation that goes in there. And so for us, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars that the Y is looking at trying to do this. And right now, we're starting from zero. There's not a membership base that, with the Civic Center closing, nobody's paying $1 in right now, and so there is obviously a risk and a liability there. And so for us, really the business model highlights is that this is a membership-driven, not a user group or drop-in driven type of a business model. And so with that, people would have access to more. We wouldn't be, going $2 here and $3 here. And we do feel we've looked at the numbers, and it's going to fall within our Boardman YMCA pricing structure. And so we've looked at some numbers. An example would be, $29 would be, most of that senior membership that they would have access to all the classes and those. And so if they're paying the drop-in fee, there's not much of a difference in price there. This model is based on volume. And so to make this work, we have to have it affordable, and we have to have the opportunity to do fitness, wellness, sports, and we think the complex as a whole, we'd be able to do that. I think it'd be attractive to hockey players that maybe, they're playing hockey and they're able to use the pool or the fitness center or those types of things. And so adding value and convenience is also critical to this, and we feel with the fitness and the sports fields and the pool option, all of those enhance this model. One of the questions that has, I think, come up is, how did you come up with these numbers? Where are these, 400 units, 600 units? What is a unit? That might be the first question. And so a unit for us, how we speak in that term, is a family unit. And so a family unit would be one. There might be 4 people in it, but it's 1 unit. And so when you look at those numbers of 400, that's 400 households would be a better way to put that. And so to give you a little bit of perspective, currently, and I have 2 geographical studies, one that presents a 1, 3, and a 5 mile radius around Silver Lake address, and a 1, 3, and a 5 mile that revolves around the Civic Center address. So to give you a little bit of a scope, currently there are within 5 miles of the Silver Lake Y, there's 20,183 households. We currently have about 3,500 membership units. And so with that, we're looking at about a 17 to 18% penetration rate in that 5 mile radius, somewhere around there. The business plan for the Easling Pool, in that same 5 mile radius, there are 19,378 people within a 5 mile radius, households of Easling Pool. The 400 unit mark would represent a 2% penetration rate. The 800 unit mark would represent a 4% penetration rate, and the 1,600 mark, which is not even in your packet, but if we were really going for the fence, that would be an 8% penetration rate within that 5 mile radius. So you can see there was not a business plan that said we feel like the Silver Lake model and the Easling model are going to be the same thing. If this came back and said you'd have to get 18% of your people around a 5 mile radius to be members, and Silver Lake is only doing 18%, that would be a little bit of an imbalance for us. And so we feel like the numbers are safe. We don't feel like these numbers have any type of hopes or dreams in them. And so, we were asked months ago to put a plan together. This is that $50,000 is able to do that. Again, we're starting out from zero. There's not a dollar that's coming in here. And so from our side, the positives, we think we can bring it to scale. We have an operating model that works. We've shown it on the Silver Lake side, and we've been successful. There seems to be, on the positive side, a lot of interest and a lot of people that want this to succeed and to stay open, and so we'll see, right, as we start to move forward on this. And we don't see the pool evaluation shared by Chris and the group. We don't see any critical elements that would affect, a disastrous thing happening from the pool. I mean, any of that stuff can happen at any time, but that's not necessarily what we've seen. The challenges is that, this is a startup. We're going to have to start from zero. We do feel like the business model philosophy is going to have to change. It's going to go from user or drop-in fees to a member. That's going to be a challenge from our side to be able to educate that. There's always surprises, in a new business venture and a new partnership, and so, we're aware that that's going to be a challenge. All fees have really been on a downward spiral. Membership has taken about a 25% hit. It was about 64% of membership revenue. Their revenue that's coming in to support the Civic Center is drop-in fees or rentals. And so that would be like charging people their taxes if they were only in their house and not while they're on vacation, right? And so that's not a great model to necessarily move forward on. And so the dated pool mechanics are also a concern, but again, based on what we've seen and the reports that I've seen, there doesn't seem to be anything that jumps out right away. So the Y feels, again, that we want to help. We want to do anything that we can to be able to support this, but we have commitments too as the Y. We want to make sure that the Y has other plans. The Y wants to finish phase 2, and we want to put a gym in there, and we want to do these types of things. And the proposed business model would give us limited risk, and of course with the county, the more we get, the limited risk would also go with the county. But we can't jeopardize a zero start with no subsidy and jeopardize some of the plans we have for the future and some of the donors and the expectations that the community has for the Y. And so, again, I know you guys have a lot of big decisions, and I'll answer any questions you might have.
Okay, go ahead.
Any of your current members how's If they're a current member at the Y, are they going to be able to use the Easling pool and vice versa? Okay.
So as we have it structured right now, and we do have that current membership structure for the Boardman Y. The Boardman Y, some people just want to play pickleball, do different things there. That's a separate price.
Okay.
The Silver Lake, they can use Silver Lake and Boardman. This one would be, Easling would be a membership, Boardman River would be a membership, and then Silver Lake would be the big membership that they could use both facilities.
And do you know within that 5-mile radius of the Civic Center how many current members you have?
I don't. I haven't pulled that. I mean, that's another risk for us, is are we just taking the same dollars?
Are you going to cannibalize other membership?
You're exactly right.
And just shift numbers?
You're exactly right.
Defeat your purpose at your main facility to bring it here, so.
And we've talked about that on a board side. I mean, there is a risk on this. I mean, the pool could close, and we're going to get some of those people anyways, and is that a business model we want to use? And, on the flip side, we're saying, no, we want to try to make this work, but good question.
Yes.
Jay, first I want to thank the Parks and Recreation Board and the YMCA and their board for even having these discussions. We, in 2007, 2008, we entered into these discussions with the wide operator pool at that time. I was board chairman at that time, and at that point it was a no-starter. It just wasn't. Because I always felt that there needed to be a public component to this facility, and that was just completely out of the possibility. But I do appreciate that. I have a multitude of packets that Chris sent me, so I'm trying to figure out which one I'm looking at right now. But the one I have in front of me talks about membership rates for an adult to be $39 at the Civic Center, and it's currently $49 at the Silver Lake. Is that a monthly rate, or is...
Monthly.
That's a monthly rate, okay. There was another piece in here that I was a little confused by. It says the Grand Traverse Bay YMCA will provide dedicated field usage, one field minimum to run programming necessary to increase membership unit growth.
So one of the things...
I was kind of confused by that.
So one of the things that we had talked about, in order to... there's this convenience for all, everything under one roof, and so we currently have used the Civic Center fields for different sports, and so we would like to have one of those areas reserved really for us, so that people could drop off and have their kids play sports while they're going inside for a workout or a swim or those types of things. So we think the business model with that, because we know it works. So that's what that definition is.
And I know that we've, the Y has been a huge user for softball and things over the years. I'm completely aware of that, but I was a little confused when I read this as part of this business plan, this Y field thing. It was
maybe it's not worded correctly,
well,
but
it was fine. I kind of suspected that's what it was. But I was very impressed when I read and I know it's in a different email than the one I have open, the evaluation of our equipment. We've talked for a long time about, our air handling equipment and those kind of things, but it sounds to me like when I read this assessment of our equipment, our facilities management people have been doing a good job. This equipment is functioning as it's supposed to be. Is it state of the art? Is it as good as maybe we'd like it to be? No, but it's certainly functioning effectively and efficiently at this point. So those are good things. And,
I asked Chris when we went in, I said, was there any 2x4s that are holding up an open valve that can't close? And she said no, and I said, it's better than the first pool I've ever managed.
Exactly, and I know a little bit about how some of that stuff works, and I know one of the problems, I've heard things about, well, we have to block the doors open in order to make the ventilation work right. And when I talk to other pool managers, they will tell you that if the doors are blocked open, your air system will never work right.
I want to, before we're going to take I want to make a comment. I want to thank Commissioner Lisa Kropa for working so hard at the business plan. This wouldn't have happened if it weren't for your input. And thank you. It's a lot of...
It was a team effort.
Yeah.
Chris and I, she's sick of me in sweatpants, running in between, driving kids places, showing up. We ate pizza today while we wrote the PowerPoint, but...
I'll tell you, I'd hate to have to come under your scrutiny. over that, so
It was tough stuff. She's right. It was tough stuff. We learned a lot, and I think we'll be able to apply this to future parks projects. And that was the best part of this whole process, was not just working as a team, but coming up with a process to go through for our other parks. So.
And Commissioner Krupp essentially volunteered to do that, and it's commendable the work you put into it. Okay, Commissioner Crawford.
I've had lots of discussions with the Friends of Eastling Pool, and I hear great things about you. So and the fact that you've possibly done this in the past as a director of pools and things. So if this was a job interview, we're essentially hiring you. So tell me why. Toot your horn a little bit, please. What qualifications do you have to do this? I'm sure you have them. Tell us what they are.
Sure. I started in the Y 20 years ago as an aquatics person, and so I started managing pools back in the early 90s, and had built 3 pools to date, have managed 4 water parks. I've managed, in the greater Wichita Y, we had 15 pools, and I was the Vice President of Operations, and helped design 3 of those. Certified CPO. I had managed one of the largest aquatic centers in the Midwest. It was in Milwaukee, the Schrader Aquatic Center, where it had an Olympic 50-meter pool, and it had 4 other pools. And so that's where I've been. I've managed pools in Florida. I've managed pools, all over the place. And they are a different animal. And there's a model in there that you can't fall asleep at the wheel. A pool will turn on you pretty quick. And so I think the staffing model, the training, the systems, the program development, all the P's, the pricing, the promotion, the programs, all of those things are important. So I feel like I have the experience to do that. And I feel like I have a team, quite frankly, that can carry that off. And I have just an incredible board of directors that is supportive of this, because believe me, when I came to them initially with this, I thought my stay in Traverse City might be a little shorter than my wife had anticipated.
So I think that our pool would be in great hands with you. I think it really would.
Commissioner Max Bauer.
I have questions for Dean and Tom. How much is this going to truly cost us, dollar-wise?
Well, I think you'll probably lose $249,937 this year in business case 1.
Okay, so we will lose $250,000. The next question is, where are we going to get that $250,000?
Take it from somebody else's budget. Somebody's going to pay for it.
I have a question, Christine. When I look at the parks budget, I see that people's salaries, including yours and other people's, are divvied up. You get so much per park.
Yes.
And the pool is quite a yoke around people's necks. It's a lot of work. In either scenario, either the Y takes over or we close the pool, your staff won't be doing the same thing. So why would we pay you the same for doing less work?
I knew that question would come up tonight, and I'm happy to answer it. We've always been understaffed in parks. I had a long discussion with Mr. Menzel about this, and my commission's aware of it for the most part, the Parks Commission. We've never been able to promote our parks properly. We've never been able to pay attention to the great revenue-producing opportunities that we have. And they're not even opportunities. We already are producing revenue in other areas. This would give us a chance to focus on our parks and build on them. We have 9 parks, including the Civic Center. We have a business development team, and we've worked already with Power Island and with Twin Lakes to increase revenue at those parks. And we want to build on those by working with those business plans and modernizing them or bringing them up to date and setting new goals. And now we're working on the Civic Center, which is probably going to be a 2-year process. We have plans for a dog park and a new playground. It's important for us to really work with our parks and the assets that we do have to make them work the best that they can for the county and to bring the income that the county deserves to get from them.
So it could be said then that if the pool closed, we could do much more with the parks we have and we wouldn't spend $225,000.
Any scenario you look at is about $200,000. This is $250,000. What we're discussing about the Y taking over, Commissioner Lathrop, and $100,000 of that is still reallocation of our full-time staff. $100,000 of that $249,000
You see my
is the
point,
staff
though?
reallocation.
Yeah.
I do. However, business case number 2, where we still operate the pool ourselves and do it differently, that's $267,000. Business case 3, where we close indefinitely, we're going to have a $200,000 outlay practically, $173,000. That'll be an initial outlay. Business case number 4, where we turn it into a recreational space, $240,000. There could be potentially a case number 5 where we leave water in the pool indefinitely and close it like you would. My aunt has a pool in California, and she winterizes it every year and closes it for, 8-7 months. That still would be $200,000, and that's because of our $106,000 staff allocation in every single case. So if you want to subtract $100,000 from each of these, it's still going to be very similar no matter what our case scenario is.
So we're paying your staff whether they work or not?
Pardon?
We're paying your staff for the pool whether they work or not at the pool?
It depends on how you look at it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I get it.
Right, but
Okay, I've had enough comments. Anybody else?
Tom has some.
Go ahead, yeah.
First of all, I think you did a great job on the business plan. You put a lot of work into it. We met for an hour and a half today and went over them in great depth, and Chris was very forthcoming with the information, and he did a nice job. And Jay, I think you are a great presenter, and you're a great negotiator. You are better than we are, and that's why you are where you are, I guess. My job is to make sure that you look at both sides of issues so that you can make the best possible decision. You have a pool that has never made money in 40 years, and past performance is quite frankly the best predictor of future performance in most cases. You've got an infrastructure which is end of life. The foundation is cracked. That's why you put the membrane in. And so there is a great deal of risk in there. Now, when you look at negotiating a deal, there has to be shared risk on both parties. In this situation, you're paying someone $50,000 to manage it. You're paying for all the utility costs. And in the contract, it says that any repairs required, you do it. So it's really a relatively low-risk situation for the Y, and Jay negotiated a great deal. I commend him on that. But it's not the shared risk. If it doesn't work, you walk away. And you've gotten more visibility and probably some more membership that you can convert over to the other one. So I have some concerns about the equity of the deal itself in terms of what a good negotiation is supposed to be. I would like to find a way. I mean, the timing, it's a great plan. The timing is terrible because we're in deep trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody realizes it, but we've got $3 million to make up. Now, if I don't make it up here, I'm going to have to make it up someplace else, and we want to start some other things that we can review all the basic budgets and start looking for savings, but we haven't been able to do that yet. We will be doing that going forward. So, if you try it for 9 months and you're willing to pay that cost and it doesn't work, your budget's in deep trouble, Chris. Deep trouble. If this doesn't work, and there's a lot of hopeful thinking that it will, but I don't have enough analytical data that proves to me that your success chances are as high as I would like them to be. What you do as a manager in a department that you've put a lot of money in and it didn't come back to you, how do you survive that?
Well, and I know you and I talked about this morning, Mr. Menzel, about the fact that we've already cut at least $250,000 from our budget by doing this.
Yeah.
So rather than the $500,000 that we normally would request, it's going to be $250,000. And you're correct, this is a big risk at a time when the county is looking to recoup over $3 million.
I very much appreciate all the work. The problem I'm having with it is, if I was in the private sector and someone came to me and said, the best deal you're going to get is you're going to lose $250,000, I'd say, are you kidding me? I can't do that. I can't survive that way. So that's the problem I'm having with it, and it doesn't mean that you haven't worked very hard on that. And you know, whatever these people decide, we're going to back you 100% and do whatever we can to make you successful.
I know.
You know, but I have an obligation to make sure that people are looking at both sides of the equation on this, and I have some concerns in that area, and I need to bring those out.
And we also discussed about the concern this morning, Mr. Menzel, about, so we've already cut our normal request by $250,000, and then other departments, what will they be required to do?
Well,
Maybe it's 4 or 5% across the board everybody cuts.
We'll find out.
And have we, are we cutting more than that? And is it just because we have something that we can give up?
The answer to that is that you have one large item which is cost a lot of money.
Right.
You know, the others don't have that one massive item. So does it look fair? No, but you know, it's just a large item that is not a mandated requirement for us to pay for. It's one of those nice to do if you can do it, and when you don't have enough money to pay, you really have to look at those. You have no choice, you know. And it's just a big pot of money that's going out, and so that's why. But it isn't an unfairness issue. It's just that most of the others don't have a $400,000 pot of loss, and so that's why. The other thing that, and I think it's on Commissioner Lathrop, you know, if you close this and you don't have these, I don't think you realize how much this is probably draining you in terms of spreading your staff.
I think we realize that. I do.
You would then be able to be innovative and creative with those 9 parks, doing the marketing that you talk about, doing some really innovative, creative things, because you could devote all your energies to doing that. And so I think you could really allocate your resources and do a lot of interesting things. I think you're a very bright woman and have the capability of doing that. You know, I think it's high risk. These board members are going to have to make that decision. Do they want to be in the risk? And the downside is you're going to lose $250,000, and if it works, it works. And you know, I would like to see it work. You know, I'm long-term. I go back there when they had the harness races and the demolition derbies years ago, so I remember when as a kid going over to the Civic Center. But I just think I needed to get that on the table in terms of the risk factor, and I think you and Jay have done a marvelous job. I think the attempt at collaboration is wonderful, but I need to play the devil's advocate a little bit to make sure that this board understands the high risk of this and the consequences if it doesn't work. And I would like to see, Jay, you think you've got a lot more risk in this, but I look at it and we're paying you money, we're paying for your base cost, and if anything major happens, we fix it. I would rather not pay you $50,000 because we have in that agreement where if you get above a certain amount, we share it. I'd rather say, we won't pay you the 50, you can make all the money you want off of that, and then we do the utility thing like we agreed to.
Well, and I think you guys are looking at a $250,000 loss. Again, the wise part of this is 50. And so you have your own infrastructure, you know, the salary things that you're talking about. I'm taking on what costs the county now is $250,000 to operate, and doing it for 50, and then reducing your liability by when we grow, your liability goes away in the sense of the $60,000 in utilities and the management fee.
Well, if this board decided to go ahead with that and put that money out, you'd better have some real strong success markers and milestones and benchmarks. And if you don't make them, emotion is very high about this. And emotion clouds good, logical, analytical thinking. And I've seen this time and time again. It's probably one of the, everybody, they all hate me out there because I'm saying this. I'm just trying to be as balanced as I can, you know. If you go into this, you get those benchmarks and you don't let emotion come in there. If you're not making those benchmarks at certain times, you've got to make some tough decisions and tough calls. You know, you'll have to manage through it. But, you know, I just want people to be aware that this is very high risk. And hopefully you've done all that you can to come up with some solutions. One last point is, this is what I would like to see, and I don't think you're going to get it, but a recommendation that goes back to 73. Inasmuch as the Civic Center and the pool are, this is a resolution. Inasmuch as the Civic Center and the pool are civic projects, we, your Committee on Buildings and Grounds, agree that the building and pool should be a civic project financed by Grand Traverse County, the City of Traverse City, Traverse City Public Schools, and Northwest Michigan College. The whole intent of this was a collaborative partnership between all of those people. I'll bet you 3 of those 4, except for the county, don't want to get in this. If you ask them, that tells you something. So, you know, I can't make the decision, but I want people to be aware of it. But if they decide to go ahead with it, we'll do all we can to help you make it successful. But I just want them to be aware of the risk.
I respect where you're coming from completely, and I know you know that.
Yeah.
I'm here on behalf of our Parks and Rec Commission, and I think they believed that we have a team, they believe that we have a team that can make this happen if we take this risk.
Well,
perhaps that will change tomorrow, considering this meeting.
You know, if anybody can make it go, I think you can. I have a lot of confidence in you too, and I don't know Jay that well, but from what I've seen, I like. I think he's a bright young guy. So.
Well, and I think on our side, we can walk away from this. I mean, we're here to be able to help support the community, and I think that's the angle we're taking. This was not a part of our plan, Mr. Menzel. No. We're trying to be here to help. So I can tell you when you talk about past performance and future, I just gave you the statistics about what penetration rate we have by zip code, by mile markers. But that's not my decision to make. I just did the homework that we were asked, which is the business model.
The concern I have is that you have enough equity invested in it that you have to make it work. That you have to make it work. And I don't know that you have that. If you had your neck on the line, I'd feel more comfortable, because when you make that membership drive, you'll be doing that little extra, make that membership drive work. So that was my concern, and I thought when we're covering all those expenses and losing money on top of it, it just didn't seem that the balance was there that I would expect. But I can't do anything about that, and I have to have some level of trust. I feel a little guilty being this negative about it, quite frankly, but I do have an obligation to put those issues out for everyone to assess when they make the decision. So, good luck. You've done a wonderful job in your presentations. You did a wonderful job this morning going through it with me. I love the business plans that you put up. I think you've done all that you can. So you've laid it out what the risks are. So now it's go or no go. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Max Bauer.
There is still the option of mothballing the pool for a little longer time. And I say that I've done just enough research on mothballing pools. Pools across North America, outdoor pools, are mothballed every winter, and they come back every spring. And it's a minimal cost. You lower the temperature in the room, you put a cover over the pool to reduce condensation there, and here's how you do it. I brought it with me. I was going to make copies, but I jammed the copy machine, so whoever uses the copy machine upstairs next is going to find it jammed. So that is an option. What I'm concerned about is the $250,000. Where are we going to get that $250,000 out of the budget? Where are we going to get it?
You're asking us where we're going to get it?
I can answer that.
Yes. Well,
Spent a month doing this. I can answer that.
What we're doing is we're trying to see what we can cut, in terms of things that are not priorities, and then we will say we're still 2.1 million short, whatever that number is. And then we will say and I don't like doing it this way, but because we have this December 16 deadline and don't have the time, that it'll be a percentage across the board, and then we would leave it up to the discretion of the managers of those budget areas to decide what they would cut to come into compliance with that requirement. Now, next year, we will go through extensive hearings long before line item and help them, and be more of a resource to them. But, this is my second day. I haven't had time to do that yet.
Slacker.
Yeah. Okay.
Just to add to what Tom said, I mean, this is built into your budget request at this point. The county appropriation to Parks and Rec is basically the same for 2016 as it was for 2015. And you're using some fund balance here in to make this all work in terms of for the budget. But as Tom mentioned, we have a $3 million reduction. It's actually more than that when we include the dams and the retiree health liability. So we haven't shared that with Chris, as to how she would take that into consideration with the reduced appropriation from the general fund to fund the parks budget. So.
Can I say something? Park and Rec? Is that all right, Dr. Lathrop?
Go ahead.
I'm not sure where those numbers are coming from, Dean. I mean, our last year's allocation, 2015, was $830,000.
Well, the county appropriation was $334. You're looking at the total budget for Parks and Recreation,
Okay.
so.
Can you help clarify that for everyone here? Because Elisa, or Commissioner Krupa, and I remember we spoke with you on the phone last week about how that works. I think that would be
Are you
helpful.
adding the revenue into the, with the allocation?
Yes, you have to remember, though, what's different with your proposed 2016 budget with the Y, you don't have the revenue that the pool is generating. I don't know exactly what the total parks budget is for 2015, but the budgeted revenue for parks was $281,000, so that drops the numbers down. And we don't, I don't want to, I mean, the numbers.
No, I just want to be clear.
But that's the biggest reduction in the, if it's an 800.
You're talking is
Right.
we're asking for the same amount from fund balance.
The reason it's working, you're using 50,000 of your fund balance to cover the
50,000.
management fee. Yes. And, your overall budget is less. Right now, we have the same appropriation from the county general fund going to Parks and Rec. It's $334. But that, when we balance the budget overall, that's going to be lower.
And we're saying we're spending $200,000 less.
You are,
next year.
but you're also, you don't have the revenue
same
too.
amount of revenue.
So,
Correct.
Okay, you've been patiently waiting. Carol, please.
I'll try to be brief. Where do I start? I'm going to start by going back to some of our strategic planning sessions and some of the things that we talked about. We talked about better service for less money. We talked about restructuring services to be more efficient and more effective. We all talked about those things. We talked about return on investment and things like that. This fits all of those things. It really does. And while you say, well, we're, losing revenue from the pool, the Parks Department is cutting their budget almost in half. And still being able to have the pool open and used more and more by the people. So even though it might not save as much as you really want it to, it does save. And we have people standing in front of us who have stepped in and said, here, let us help. And I think it would be a really big disappointment and not a show of great faith in our community to say, nah, never mind, we'll just close it. I don't like that. We've asked for help. Help is here. The Friends of Eastling Pool are out here saying, not only will we support this, we'll get the word out. We'll try to help get memberships. We will try to help with getting funding to help make the pool physically stronger. So we have all this help in the room, standing right in front of us, and I just find it hard to believe that the opinion might be that it doesn't save enough. That just close it. And I don't like that. When you ask for help and help arrives, and within several years, it will go down, our cost will go down even further. And I guess I'll stop with that.
Thank you, Carol. Now, Commissioner Maxbar, would you advise me, I need to open this up to public comment right now or sometime along the way?
If you'd like to, you're the chair.
Well, what I'm saying is we promised them we would.
I think we should.
Is now an appropriate time is the question.
Is there any way I could talk first? Or
Yeah, of course.
You could focus
She's been waving back here.
Yeah, oh yeah, it'll be just on that topic, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent 4 years talking about the pool. I, probably more than most people, would like to stop talking about the pool. I have a lot of other things that I can offer to the community than talking about a pool all the time. Ironically, I'm not a member of the pool. I've never used the Easling pool. None of my 4 children have been members for swim lessons at the Easling pool. I nonetheless have dedicated 4 years of my life to keeping a community pool open. So I'm probably the most unlikely supporter of this plan. I do not like to put emotion into things. Ask the damn people that are here waiting how I negotiate. Nobody wants to negotiate with me. Tom's absolutely right. I mean, Jay's a great negotiator, and I would hire you for my business. I wanted to support this pool, but I couldn't do it without delving in and looking at every number. And the numbers are not good. I'm a private business owner. I've been in business for over 20 years for a reason, and that's because I don't make decisions like this pool. However, I had to set that aside and start looking at all the numbers. And the PowerPoint you saw tonight, I wrote. It was a jots on a notepad that I took during a meeting. Jerry was at the meeting, and I was working on the PowerPoint at the same time because I like to look at pros and cons as a business owner, as my private budget, my own checkbook. So I started looking at it, and the scenario of closing the pool wasn't as pretty as I had hoped it would be. I thought we could just shut the door, put it to sleep. But unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of things that factor into it. Some of it has to do with fund accounting, which is a really terrible way to do accounting, and that's how governments do it. Some of it has to do with the really unusual relationship between facilities management and Parks and Recreation. We all know that it's not a good relationship, and I don't mean how they get along, I mean fiscally. And that also factors into it. So I made this list, and all I wanted to do was know, is it go up or down, depending on the why or closing the pool. I really think those are our two scenarios. Chemicals, we don't pay for them in either one, so it's neutral. Utilities, we pay utilities, yes, but once they hit 400 members, and we already have currently almost 400 members that we refunded, I mean, I would hope everybody here would come support it. If they don't, then it should shut down, right? So business-wise, I thought, okay, we're going to get rid of utilities real quickly. Jake, you can have those. If the pool closes and we turn off the lights, unfortunately, the way that the ductwork and the heating and the electrical and mechanical is done in that really old building, and I shouldn't say that because it was made the year that I was born. I'm really tired of hearing that. We still have to heat the mechanical room in order to run things like the Howe Arena and the meeting room and the offices. Unfortunately, we have some issues. It's still an asset we own. We still have to maintain it. That goes to facilities management labor. Yes, we have it with the Y. We still have it if we shut down the pool. They still have to maintain the building. They still have to maintain the mechanicals. And also, just as an FYI, it's not any of the dollars that we're talking about saving, because it's in the facilities management budget. And I can't remember what the item was we talked about. But remember, we were talking about like contracting out something with facilities, and we were like, oh, well, then you can get rid of one guy, right? And Danny Brown was like, no, we'll just find something for them to do. Those are not savings. So we're not going to ever save those dollars, whether we close the pool or not. On to the next thing. We're never going to save the dollars for our county pool staff allocation. It just gets put onto the other parks. Whether the pool stays open, whether the pool closes, whether why, we still have that. So it's not real. The $249,000 loss, trust me, I've gone over it and over it and over it. Those aren't substantial savings because we still have that. Unless if you're fired, Chris and Ryan, who's back there in Maryland, who's probably watching at home. Other than that, we keep it. I got put in the ticker, inherently terrible quote, because that's the story of my life here in office. And it said, we don't save money if we don't take a wrecking ball to the building. I'm right. Regardless of what we do, it's an asset we own. I don't care if people are swimming in it, I don't care if we fill it with cement, I don't care if we put it to sleep. We still owe this money because we own it. Now, unless we bulldoze it, which is, I guess, business plan number 12, right? The next thing is the pool business office. We lose it either way. We're still neutral. Programming revenue, we lose it either way. Management fee, 700 units. I mean, you know, I've had the benefit of being able to talk to Jay and see numbers for the Y that aren't privy, you know, out here, but that is not an unreasonable number to hit. And you know what? If we don't hit it, Jay's going to pack up his stuff and go, as I would. So we don't have to worry about it anyways. We can blame it on Jay. Headline will say, Jay Buckmaster closed his pool. And then we can forward all the emails to you, and my email box can be empty. We go on to the cost to put the pool to sleep. We save that by keeping the pool open. So, you know, maybe that's a thumbs up. Meeting room revenue, $8,000. I agree with Chris. We haven't had the opportunity to market that properly. But regardless, I find that to be not really a major factor. So when I wrote all these things down and I looked at it as a business person, I wouldn't categorize it as high risk. And I'll tell you why. Because Jay and the YMCA are not your fly-by-night management company. If you fail, you look bad. You carry it with you, the name of the YMCA, am I right? You have a state, local, and national following. Why would you enter into anything that you think is going to make your company look bad? That's the skin in the game. I have a company that I've spent 20 years building the brand. I am not going to enter into a flaky situation. So, I mean, if this was Joe Smith's Pool Service, I may not be having the same discussion. Not that I don't support small business owners, but the Y has the ability to bring in people. Bridget spoke about there has been a buzz in the community. People are excited. I live right by the Y. I'm on Garfield Parks. I work with you for the Boardman River campus. I know, we have seen. I think it's worth a year, but I'll tell you one thing. A year from now, if all of these people don't become members and people don't do that, I will be the first one to vote no on this pool, and I will vote to close it, because I have read the emails for 4 years. Keep the pool open, keep the pool open. We have a viable way to keep the pool open. We're giving you a year. In the end of a year, you lost me, and I'm your loudest supporter, which is still kind of weird, because I wouldn't even vote for voicemail today, because I don't think we should be spending any money right now. On behalf of our employees who just took benefit cuts, I will not support even voicemail. So if I'm speaking about this, I think it's worth it. You guys get a year. You've got pretty much like the best company for fitness nationwide backing it, all of their marketing dollars, all of the people that support them. And I expect every single one of you to put your actions where your words are. Every time you take the time to write an email to a Parks Commissioner, that's me, I get them all, instead write a check to the YMCA, please, for $39 a month, and get your friends to do that. And then we can stop talking about the pool at every single year at the business. So I will support this. I am a big supporter of it now because I saw the numbers. We will not save on the facilities management labor. We will be able to recoup the utilities. We will save on the chemicals. We will not save on Christine Ryan and Maryland. We will save on the county pool staff. That $249,000 includes $106,000 of reallocated funds. It includes $10,000 to $12,000 of facilities management staff. You and I both know they're still going to be working. They're going to screw light bulbs at the jail, or they're going to go punch a toilet at the courthouse, but they're not going to be home off the clock. So we're not going to save that $10,000 to $12,000. And the other thing that we are not going to ever get rid of is utilities until we redo the mechanics room. Commissioner Maxbauer is correct. When we have the Friends of Ice contract coming up in 2019, we're going to have to deal with this. We have no idea how much utilities are spread amongst the different departments for the Civic Center. And on top of it, if this board supports this tonight, and I hope they do, I will call Mayor Jimmy Carruthers, and I will ask him to help pay for part of our management fee with the YMCA. This is the man that I famously penned an open letter to asking for an apology to our county staff for saying that we've run this pool into the ground. We didn't run it into the ground. We've come up with a plan to save it, and I expect $25,000 from the city of Traverse City. We'll take that and put that against our budget. The management, or the mechanical room 2% grant, I feel good about that. That's going to take away some of this. If the Friends of Easling Pool can raise funds, that's good. If they can't, you know what? They get a year. If the YMCA can get 700 members and wipe out all of our costs, that's great. If you can't, you get a year. a year from now, I'll still be here if no one shot me, and I will vote to close this pool if this hasn't changed. Tonight, you get me. So I don't know that we need a lot of bloviation on
You're coming close.
I've waited a month to say this. I don't think we need a lineup of people saying, keep the pool open, keep the pool open, keep the pool open. I think what we want to hear is somebody saying, I'm going to write a check to you, Jay.
That's part of this meeting.
Exactly. I mean, that's what it's really all about. This is about dollars and cents. I'm sure each and every one of these commissioners care about that people care about the pool. Please don't think we're robots. But put your money where your mouth is.
I have one more quick comment.
Okay.
One more. I will agree with one thing that Mr. Menzel said. One. The contribution that Chris and her staff can make to the other parks in our system at the moment is immeasurable. They are short-staffed. They can't do all of the wonderful and innovative things that they could do with the rest of our park system because they are bogged down with the impossible task of making this one standalone pool work. And so I am very anxious to see all the wonderful things that they can do with our gem Twin Lakes out there. Before I joined the board, I had never been out there. And I've been out there several times now. It's beautiful. It needs to be promoted better. There are all kinds of things that we can do with our park system with those people at the helm. They don't have this pool bogging them down.
Yes, Doctor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in a conundrum. I don't use that word much either. But,
You need to look it up.
Yeah. Google it.
Spell it.
Don't ask me to spell it.
I'm joking.
You're not going to blow me.
No, a little. I'm a politician, so a little. No, because the financial side of me says, well, they still are in the hole here. Part of it is it's the Parks and Recs problem. Quite frankly, if we run into the hole with it, they'll have to cut their budget. I will say though that they've done what I've asked. I asked Christine, said, see if the Y can. I mean, I would have loved the same thing. I was hoping they could just take the whole thing and let them go with it and have fun, and we'd have rainbows and unicorns around here, But you've asked. You've done what I've asked, and as much as it pains me, I have to have some hope that they can do it, and I think they're the ones that can do it, if anybody can do it. I don't think we'll be able to do it on our own, and I think the only option would be to close it at that point. So, and then the opportunity that Christine and her team will have to bring in more revenue with other programming or whatever you want to call it, but marketing. If you look at where we're at compared to where we were, it's night and day. It's night and day. And there's a lot of effort that went into this very quick, and I commend you on those efforts.
So, are you a yes or a no?
We may have swayed you, Bob.
I'm for it.
Okay, I'm going to open this up for public comment.
Mr. Chairman, I had one
Yes,
other comment, if I may. Building on Commissioner Kropa's comment, I had talked to Chris this morning about possibly, I asked her to do that, to write a letter to TCAPS and to the college and to the city, in maybe a little different format than you had intended, to see if they would be willing to support that. Based on the original charter, it was designed as a community pool with community participation. And if this passes, I still think that letter should go out, but I think I would add to that a possible meeting with the Y to see if we can drive some membership through school programs into that location. And I would ask them for their help, but if they wouldn't give financial help, I would ask for them to open up some internal resources to help market it to students that would then allow to drive that membership up. So, and do that in a letter form requesting a meeting face-to-face with Soma and Nelson on developing a plan that they could use their resources to get increased usage.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was part of why I wanted the Y to take it too is, and this is no slight on the Friends of the Easling Pool whatsoever, but you would have a greater chance with your name of raising funds if you needed to do it. You know, people would give to the Y, I think, quicker than they would. And again, I'm not slighting you in any means, so, you know, I just think it would be easier for the Y to say, look, we've got to raise X amount of dollars to keep this pool open. You know, should a piece of equipment fail, I believe we'd still be able to partnership and say, look, let's try to fundraise and get to that. Because one of the other concerns I do have is, if you do get to 700 memberships, how is that going to affect the pool liner and the other issues? Is it going to wear it out quicker? You know,
It's easier for an organization to raise money, like if we're going to buy a seat at the State Theater.
Yes,
you can
exactly.
focus. So if there
Yes.
was a piece of equipment that
specific-
needed to be replaced, then the Friends of Easling Pool could just have a fundraiser on that one specific piece of equipment. I think you get a lot more mileage out of it.
Okay. We have a lot of work yet to do tonight. So this is very important. I want to open this up to the public, but I'm going to ask you, don't come up and say the same thing. But I want to hear from you. So I'm going to open it up. It's a 3-minute limitation. You're going to only talk about the pool, not about anything else. You can talk about anything else at the end of the meeting. This time it's about the pool. So is there anyone that'd like to come up? Please don't be shy.
Oh, Mary.
My name's Mary Wadzine. I live at 3263 Prouty Road in East Bay Township. And I am a shy person, so this is difficult for me. But I've lived up here in northern Michigan for 35 years. I used to live out in Fife Lake, on Fife Lake Road. And all 4 of my grown adult children took lessons starting at 2 years old at the Eastling Pool. For many years, I've held a membership both at the YMCA and at the Eastling Pool because of the diversity of what was offered to me and the proximity to my home. As a small business owner for over 34 years in Traverse City, I am willing both to buy a membership and I'm willing to become a corporate sponsor to be able to help keep the Eastling Pool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Hey, no clapping.
I was going to clap even.
Are we allowed to clap? Oh.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. Do we have a motion?
We got.
Come on up.
It's Matt.
It's me again, Matt Cowell, 117 Homestead Court, Peninsula Township. We've got to give this a shot. We're right at this peak of effort and great thinking and incredible backing that's just sort of pent up and waiting to go. And I think to not give this a good go in 2016 would be a crying shame. I mean, this is an opportunity. It is hard to get all these people interested and moving in the same direction. It's happening right now. So this is an incredible opportunity to innovate and do something really positive for the community. And again, it's an incredible opportunity this moment right now, and I hope we all seize it. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Come on up.
Ann Rogers, and you already have my address. I would remind you, too, that city taxpayers are county taxpayers, and we do pay into everything that goes on in the county. I would encourage you to have a show of hands so you can see who the supporters are out here. It looks like the board is ready to move on the recommendations of the Parks and Rec Commission and group. And to save a lot of time, it would be good for you to see where the support is. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, and I'm going to close public comment. And yes.
I would like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Parks and Recreation Commission and approve an agreement with the Grand Traverse Bay YMCA to occupy and operate Eastling Pool, the Eastling Pool Business Office, and the Civic Center Meeting Room no later than January 1st, 2016. The YMCA will be responsible for all management, operations, and staffing. As owners of the asset, the county will be responsible for maintaining the facility and initially for utilities expenses.
Is there a second?
Support.
Okay. Discussion.
I think it should be for a period of 1 year.
1 year.
There has to be a benchmark.
That's fine.
There has to be a review time.
For a period of 1 year.
And I think
I'll go
Jay
with
would agree. I don't think you would want to not have a time to.
Two things, if I could.
He's the chair.
One, the timeline, we're just going to have to look at that. This was done, 3 weeks ago, so January 1st, that one, we might.
I can change that to
Yeah.
be on or around January 1st.
That, and then the second one is of course, this has gone pretty quickly, and though my board is supportive of it, I have a board meeting Friday, and I have to go through my due diligence too, and as I don't have that power to do it, and so the board would have to vote to, take this over, but again, I have my board chair here, they're supportive of it, but we just have to go through that piece of governance.
Thank you, Jay.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion? Go ahead.
I was going to amend it to
Go
be
ahead.
somewhere around the beginning of the year, 2016. I'm okay with that.
Okay, and contingent upon his
and
board saying yes, right?
Contingent upon his board agreeing,
Yeah.
and for a period of 1 year,
Okay, is there a second?
as long as Sonny's okay with all that.
Okay, yes, Commissioner. Sonny.
Okay, a couple things. One, I'm a little bit foggy because of the way that the Parks and Recreation Commission functions and makes decisions on behalf of the Grand Traverse County in regard to recreational issues. So I think we need to, think about that just a little bit. And, I'm assuming that any contract between Grand Traverse County, its Parks and Recreation Commission, and the YMCA will be reviewed by Mr. Forsythe, and all parties involved will have to sign off. That's just a standard procedure. I'm fine with this operation. I think it's essential. I think, the one thing that I can tell you is, when you put these types of issues out to the public, the proof is in the pudding of whether or not the public actually wants to be involved. Because if the public doesn't want to be involved, this program will go away. It's that simple. If we, I've always talked about, I've had discussions about putting things on a referendum on a ballot. The question is, are you prepared to shut that down if the people don't vote to support it? Because we've found ways to fund this thing in the past. We found ways to fund it in dollar amounts much in excess of what we're being asked for here tonight. And we've still been able to operate it, and we've continued to fund it. We've funded it with declining numbers and fluctuating numbers up and down. But the fact is, the proof is going to be in whether or not the community is willing to step up and support this program.
Okay, anybody? Yes.
I have a question for Mr. Forsythe. So is it the Parks and Recreation Commission that would enter into the agreement, or is it the county board that enters into the agreement? Because I would need to word my motion differently.
Ultimately, it's going to be the county board that's going to approve the agreement.
Okay.
Okay? Doctor?
Yeah, we do it.
No crosstalk. Doctor?
If we approve this tonight, have we bypassed the Parks and Rec?
No, we really haven't.
Their recommendation was to.
We haven't.
Okay, raise your hands now. I'm the chair. Go ahead.
All of our Parks and Recreation contracts, MCL 453.311 allows the Parks and Recreation Commission to enter into contract negotiations and to buy and sell real property. We're a very unusual board, unlike any other board in the county. And every single one of our agreements, T-Bays, Friends of Ice, blah, 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 it is the contract is between the Parks and Recreation Commission. The word is commission. And I know that because Jason Jones and I fought about it all the time. And I believe that this agreement would be between the Parks and Recreation Commission and the YMCA. The reason we're even here is because they can approve a contract all they want, but we can write it out of the budget. So sitting on the board, I abstained from voting on this at the Parks level because I wasn't certain where I'm going to go because I didn't see the numbers yet. This is something that I think the county board would make a motion to say that they support an agreement between the YMCA and the County Parks and Recreation Commission. Tomorrow night at our County Parks Commission, we'll add it on our agenda, and we will do it that way. Chris, you'll be at our meeting tomorrow night.
I'm pretty confident, though, that ultimately this board is going to have to sign off on the agreement. But I can take a look at the rules. I can get an answer for you on that. Either way, we
Okay, we went through this with American Legion, and ultimately the Parks Board won that.
The difference, though, is that that's a user using the facilities. This is somebody coming in and taking over the management of the operation of your facility that has a finance component to it, and anything financial has to
Okay.
be approved by the Board of Commissioners.
Will we know that by tomorrow night's Parks meeting then?
Yeah, I can,
Okay.
I can give you a quick turn.
So my question is, we don't have to change this motion.
No, I
Okay.
don't think so.
I think we all understand if the wording needs to be
Okay,
changed.
let's get this done, you
then-
guys.
Yeah.
What's next?
To vote.
Roll call vote.
Okay.
Call vote.
I do want a roll call vote.
Is it for immediate approval?
Is it?
No.
No,
No,
all right.
we don't have to worry
No,
about it.
it's not. Okay, go ahead, roll call vote.
Wheelock,
Yes.
Klaus,
No.
Crawford,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Max Bauer,
Yes.
Kropa,
Yes.
Lathrop.
Yahoo. You can applaud now if you want. All right, it passed.
Okay,
I don't know
we
what to
have
do
some
next here.
Major work to do.
Oh, what's the
All
next?
right, let's see, we're at
Boardman River.
Boardman River.
We might want to take a
Can we take a
2-minute,
break,
like a
Mr.
2-minute
Chair?
break.
Let's
Yes.
take a
The noise.
5-minute break.
Okay, to
I
let
won't-
them,
5-minute
to let the
recess.
masses
Thank you.
evacuate.
So you know, Dan, so what our board rules say is
I also can't find this, and I also have to pee. against the wall.
Who's hiding?
He was the one holding up the sign that says letter of intent.
Pages. Yeah, if I can find what page it's on here.
Okay, I'm bringing this board back. And the next, I'm going to, I think I have the power to do this. We're going to start with a letter of intent. And,
What's that?
Okay.
yes.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the Boardman River Dam Letter of Intent. It sounds awful.
It does, the way you put it.
The dam letter of intent.
It's pretty, yeah, you're right. It's pretty true.
For immediate approval.
Is there a second? Okay. Discussion. Bob.
You know, I was just saying that kind of like we've done with the pools, we've gone back to the CRA and the whole group and said, hey, here's what we want some better numbers. And we have narrowed it down quite a bit. Of course, we still have some risk, but again, I have problems with not following through when they've come in. You know, talking with Amy, you know, they're a big part of why we got that extra $8 million, you know, so, which really, you know, to me shows that they understood that we were really concerned with the financial part of this. And even though this letter of intent doesn't financially obligate us.
No, it does not.
Okay, Commissioner Crawford.
I have some of the same comments as I had about the pool. We have people saying, we're here to help. And this is what we've procured for this, to help with the removal of these dams. It's not going to get any better than this. You can't look at this amount of money and say, no, it's not enough. We don't want to pay anything for it. You got to stop somewhere and say, okay, we'll take the deal. And it's a good deal. It really is. So I would absolutely support this. At this point, we have gotten some better numbers, and I understand them better. And I think that we need to move forward on this.
Okay, anybody else? Rod?
Well, I've got some questions on...
He speaks.
43.
Page 43, let's be on
Where
the same page.
we look at currently funded by the county and total contract. What is our exposure? I mean, is it the total contract? When we've been working with the numbers, and I'm just going to use the URS numbers. On the left-hand column, we've got $1,011,000. On the right-hand column, which is the current agreement amount, is almost $1.6 million. It's hard for me to agree on a letter of intent to go ahead and spend more, to take $8 million and not know where we're headed. Because I can't see in the numbers where we're headed and where we're going to end.
Okay.
That's my...
Yes.
The numbers where we're headed is done in the partnership agreement, the PPA, between us and the Army Corps. Now, and that is hammered out over probably the next 6 months. So that's the answer to your question. Now, keep in mind, Mr. Cook is here, and I would like to bring him up. Mr. Cook, if we do not move forward, and you knew I was going to be asking this question, how much are we on the hook for with the bridge if we do not move forward?
Good evening, Jim Cook, Grand Traverse County Road Commission. Okay, so hopefully you won't ask me, you won't challenge my numbers here, but I can give you a ballpark.
Give me a ballpark.
You know, basically, you know, the Cass Road Bridge, again, you know, we accepted the funds, you know, from the Critical Bridge Grant, you know, in the amount of up to $3.2 million. Our board's committed to the match, also to the construction services that go along with construction. The project's been awarded, and so Commissioner Maxbauer asked me what would it cost if we were to walk away from the bridge project at this point, and Chris knows very well we have a right-of-way development agreement in place between the Road Commission and the county, and it basically says any cost associated with walking away from this project, the county would gladly pick up those costs.
I don't know if we do it gladly.
So what I can tell you is that, at this point, the project's been awarded, and I didn't call the contractor to find out what he would do if he found out we walked away from the project, but, you can pretty much be sure that there's going to be contractor claims, and so the claims can range, they can range from anything from, damages, loss of revenue, loss of opportunity. There's a possibility that this contractor, basically quit bidding projects for next year because they knew they were going to be doing this project. So what I did is I just said, the loss of revenue and opportunity could be anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million. And again, you never know until you go to court, right?
And we would be in court.
I think ultimately we'll receive a claim, and at some point we'll end up in court because there'll be settlement discussions, and we'll be talking through attorneys. Currently, there is work in place, or work in progress, and that is in the form of shop drawings and a traffic control plan, and the contractor has been working with a traffic control services company. So right now I would say there's about $10,000 in money that's already been spent for the project as far as materials and getting things set. MDOT also, just like the Corps of Engineers, when they give you free money, it's never quite free, right? And so, there's always a cost, and so, the money's free unless we walk away, and then they're going to assess us, there's going to be administrative costs, there is the cost of bidding, the cost of advertising, those are real costs that they'd want to be reimbursed. And I really don't know what those costs are because, again, we don't want to talk to too many people about this, but I would estimate, it could be as high as $25,000 in costs. The grant funds that were used to design the bridge, those were grant funds, and my assumption is that those grant funds might have to be paid back to those folks who actually donated those funds, and I think it's closer to $300,000, but I had an estimated cost of $250,000. There's a cost to design and build cul-de-sacs if we were to walk away from the bridge project, and what I did is I went and I did some research on what was proposed back in the Hammond-Hartman days. There was a proposal to do away with the Cass Road Bridge, and there were 2 cul-de-sacs that were to be built on both sides of the river. And so I had worked with our highway engineer, and he gave me an estimate of about $500,000 for design and construction of those cul-de-sacs. So if you just total those costs, and those are just the financial costs, there's some non-financial costs as well, but I think, I think we're looking at anywhere from, $1.3 million to maybe $2 million, and again, you don't know until it's all said and done. There are other costs, we've been working on this, in-house for about 3 years, and there was staff time long before that. There are legal fees. We've spent a lot of money in legal fees, developing agreements and working with MDOT and the state to secure these funds, and I don't have all those costs, but I'm pretty sure it's over $100,000. I think we also jeopardized a future crossing of the Boardman Valley, and the reason I say that is anytime that we talk about a future crossing, we're not going to fund that with general fund dollars. We're going to be asking for grants. We're going to be looking for, some type of money coming from the state or the federal government. And when you walk away from a a critical bridge grant, one that they've held for us for about 3 years now, it sort of gives us a black mark. So they'll gladly take that money back and ship it off to another community. But the next time that we ask for money, I can assure you our application is not going to be at the top of the pile. And then lastly, I came across a DEQ letter back from March 1st of 2004, and it was regarding the Hartman-Hammond Bridge. And at that point, the Road Commission had sort of, what they did is they tabled the project. They tabled the project, and their application for permit was in process when they tabled the project. So what the manager did at the time was he sent a letter to the DEQ, and he just said, when and if we actually pick up the project and start moving forward again, could you give us a list of things that we would have to do in order to move forward with this project and get the DEQ to approve it? And one of the last items in the list, there's quite a long list, but one of the last items in the list was removal of the Boardman Dam and all the infrastructure and basically a restoration, at least of that portion of the river. So I think there are some non-financial costs that could impact us in the future as well. So.
All right. Thank you. So because we have already voted to build a bridge, we are in all probability, if we back away, we are going to owe approximately $3 million. It's, by the time you go to court, add legal fees, lawyers aren't cheap. At least none that I know are inexpensive. And moving forward, the Army Corps is offering up $8 million, and as I look at what Carl Platts presented to us, worst case scenario is we're going to have to come up with another $2 million. I think once we move forward in this, if we pass this letter of consent, I believe that some additional monies are going to be headed our way. So,
thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead.
So what I'm hearing you say is there's not just a financial hit here. There's a public relations hit, not just in our community, but with potential funders for all kinds of other projects. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. Just wanted to make that clear.
Sonny?
Well, this very, very public, open process has been going on for 12, 14 years now, and hundreds and hundreds of hours have been spent by a lot of different people making this project come to fruition. This project, as I see it, start to finish, is about $20 million improvement to our community. Grand Traverse County thus far have committed $150,000. Now, percentage-wise, that's pretty poor piece considering the improvement that's going to happen to our community by moving forward with this project. We are way past the consent agreement when we were supposed to have these dams removed. Jim just mentioned the fact that that Critical Bridge Fund grant has been extended now, 3 years? Past when we were supposed to have moved forward with it. We simply need to move this project. We've all sit around and we talk about it, we talk about it, we talk about it, and then we get together again and we talk about it some more. But the fact is, it's time to move this project.
Okay. Yes.
I have a question for Dean. When we signed the agreement with the Road Commission, we agreed to pay for, I believe, the approaches to the bridge. Is that correct?
No.
No.
This new proposal, that they're going to pay for it.
Right, but
There was an amendment to the agreement
Yes.
to cover some additional engineering and staking and.
Okay, and that portion that now the Army Corps of Engineers will take care of, is that portion that we agreed to with the Road Commission, is that in our budget for 2016?
Well, the Road Commission actually agreed to pick up that local match for the bridge grant.
Right.
And the agreement was amended to reflect that, so I'm not sure
I was under the understanding that we were committing additional funds out of county funds, not just the Road Commission's, funds, but that the county was also going to owe some money toward that bridge? No? Okay,
No,
thanks,
not
that clears it
not
up.
at this point.
No.
Okay.
Who's next?
Okay, thank you.
Who's next?
Yeah, I guess the one thing I would maybe clarify is, I think there was some discussion about that section of pavements, that section of road that's going to be replaced.
Yes.
From the end of the approach on the bridge to basically where we're improving that intersection when the dam is removed.
Okay.
So it's basically, when the dam, or what we call a crossing, is removed, then it's restoration of that roadway.
And are we still responsible for that?
That's part of the project, and I believe that's included in the budget, in the $8 million
Okay,
budget.
okay, thank you, clears it up.
Commissioner Croppa.
I just wanted to point out that I met with Frank and Amy and Kim and Dean and Christine. It's no secret I don't support this, but I do appreciate their ability to allow me to write the first two sentences of the letter of intent. It is not the time to negotiate a scope of work or costs, because we will, with the letter of intent, be transferring that to the Army Corps of Engineers. I am told you can transfer my complaining to Carl Platts and the Army Corps of Engineers for the next 6 months while we negotiate the scope of the PPA. And every time I came up with something, they said, this isn't a contract. So I said, can't we just write it in the letter? So that is the first sentence in the letter. Second sentence says Grand Traverse County pledges no funds at this time. And that's important to me. I'm disappointed we're sitting here because I believe that people that sat here before us made flawed decisions. I believe it is the absolute worst time to be committing more than $1 million of county general funds to a project that isn't necessary. We just argued about $50,000 for a pool. We are talking about millions of dollars. So to go off of what Carol said, yes, we can get a better deal than this. And that's where you will see the RFP in here for grant writing. I pledge to commit $0 of the county general fund to this project. No employee should take a benefit cut to remove a dam that doesn't need to be removed. So I took my frustration and focused it on the RFP process. I appreciate Commissioner Max Bauer writing that, and to Sarah Adams as well, who works here at the county and helping that. And we will focus on getting the dollars. Marcia Smith here said tonight that Rotary is willing to help. They're willing to help write the grants, and they're willing to help look for funding or maybe be funding. But I won't stop on this until we don't spend $1 of county general fund money. I mean, I can't believe we're even discussing this particular board. So CRA can take my picture off their dartboard because they don't any more about the dam project, and it isn't their fault. It was my frustration in the fact that we are locked into spending millions of dollars of taxpayer funds, and we have no way out. And it's not a reflection on whether I like the project or not. It's a reflection on the timing. The timing is terrible. It's just terrible. And I think that we had somebody come up in public comment upset about talking about a deputy administrator. Is he aware we're talking about removing dams that we don't have to remove for millions of dollars? Is he aware of that? Just kind of an interesting side note. So I will vote no, but not because I don't appreciate the work. I will vote no because I will consistently vote no on the Boardman River Dams project until $0 of taxpayer funds are put towards it.
Anybody else? Okay, do we have a motion?
I made the motion for immediate approval, so we'll do a roll call.
Okay, let's do a roll call on that.
Klaus?
No.
Crawford?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Croppa?
No.
Wheelock?
Yes.
Lathrop?
Yes. Okay, motion passes. What is next then? Let's go up to,
The next is the grant writing proposal.
okay, let's do that.
I would like to hold off on this. Marcia Smith with Rotary has graciously stepped forward and said, let us do it for you. I would like to let them do it for us.
Do we need a motion for that? Or
No.
can we just nod?
No, but I do want to thank Sarah for
She put a lot of work into
her
this.
wonderful, wonderful job on this RFP. She wrote a dandy.
It looked like it was written by a lawyer.
She did a good job.
Yeah.
Well, and
That's a
Commissioner
compliment.
Maxbauer did a big part of that, too, just so you know. She
Oh,
took the time
really?
to take care of that,
Okay, very cool.
and I appreciated that.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, sure.
While I'm thinking about it. You know, we struggle with a lot of these decisions we're making, but we've got a lot of people, the board, and people in the public, with all of our issues, really working hard on addressing these. And you know, they've turned my mind around on several occasions, and that's through the efforts of the board and the community and the other people that are doing the work. You know, it's easy to vote no for a lot of things, but, you know, sometimes it's not as easy to turn my mind around. So I want to just acknowledge that the effort everybody's putting into this board. You know, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that gets set aside and pushed to the wayside. I mean, even though you vote no, you're a good reason, too, on why we've gotten an additional $8 million.
I think they hate me so much. The federal government is like, if we can't shut her up, I don't
So
think we can.
I know that's out of order probably, but I just wanted to comment on that.
And I did, Mr. Chairman, if I could ask for Chris Forsyth, I am very interested in finding out where the county stands with legal liability if one of these dams fails during the process.
Sure.
Being that the Brown Bridge failure was under city ownership, I'm not privy to how their lawsuits went and that, but I think that it's important for the county board to know where our liability stands and what our potential scope could be for that.
Well, the liability, it's always going to be there, but when we put together the master agreement with URS, we made sure that we had the right indemnity, the right insurance clauses, and that we shifted the liability to the consultant. And we'll continue to do that type of due diligence when it comes to the actual construction phase. I think Dean can attest to that.
We do also, I mean, the dams are listed on our liability with MMRMA. We have a pretty high limit. It's a $15 million per occurrence. But they are listed in the event that we do have some liability. We're hoping, that doesn't happen, but, our insurance company is aware that we have 2 dams. We could not insure the dams if they were generating hydroelectric power. They would not insure them. That's not been an issue with us because that hasn't happened there for some time. But they're covered up to that liability limit.
And I am told that until the project partnership agreement is signed, we can say no. So I will go to every one of those meetings that I can to finally ask them all the number questions that I do not want to burden the people involved now with, that it's not really the scope of their job anymore if the Army Corps is involved. So I would like to make sure that our board is involved at every step of that process with the Army Corps. I am very concerned about losing local oversight with this project once you sign away your name on something with the federal government. And I know I'm not alone on that.
Very cool. Very cool, thank you. So we don't need a motion on that. Do we need to work with information requested?
No, it was just information from CRA.
So we can go on to finance, am I correct? Yeah, go ahead.
I actually had a question
Okay.
for CRA, if they can
Amy, are
come-
you here?
They're there.
Yeah, come on up to the podium so she can ask you a question. Please.
Actually, my only question was on the slides that you had several weeks ago, where we have the current investment was $2 million, and our match of that is $700,000.
Yes.
And we had talked about that being a project-wide investment. A match of the $2 million covers this whole project, and that the $700,000, you go, oh, yeah.
I got it on the slide
The
here.
non-federal match that we need, that $700,000. If I'm not mistaken, part of that may be part of the city's responsibility, because the $2 million is a project-wide expenditure that the Army Corps has had so far.
Yes.
That we are partners with the city in that, and that that $700,000 is not all our responsibility.
No, that current investment reflects the environmental assessment work done for Boardman, Sabin, and Union Street dams to
Okay,
date.
so at some point, we do have to find out, agree with the city somehow as to our portion of that and their portion of that. Okay, I just want to make that clear, because that's not all our responsibility at all.
Okay. Let's move on then to, thank you very much.
Well, the second memo did have a recommendation for approval of work authorizations 3 or 4.
Okay, that's right.
With URS. And so, if you'd like, I can go through that with you, the board, right now.
Is it, do you guys want to go, have her do that?
Where is that at? I'm sorry, I made
What
nice.
page is it on?
It's actually information.
Starts on page 40.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Packet.
Oh, okay.
Hang on here. Okay.
Page 40.
Reviewed work authorizations.
Back of the page.
Some URS invoices.
Recommend their approval.
Page 77.
Page 77 is the invoice.
That's now, page 77, I believe, is the Conservation Resource Alliance invoice. What they are asking for is approval of some URS invoices,
Yeah, the second
correct?
memo.
Okay, so
That's down under finance, the CRA
Yeah, I think they're two
invoice.
separate things here.
That was back, that was with our invoice?
No, this is the separate item in their
Yes.
packet
Maybe I'm not seeing
on
it.
page 40.
Yes, page 40.
So,
Oh, I see it now. When did I see it?
So this memo involves 2 work authorizations with URS. These have been reviewed by CRA and the Greater Implementation Team and are recommended for the county and the Road Commission approval. Jim Cook with the Road Commission has looked at these work authorizations as well and has signed them. CRA has the grant funds to cover these 2 work authorizations. They total $111,000. And in that memo, I referenced the 3 grant sources that we would utilize to pay for them. In a nutshell, the work authorization number 3, that involves bridge shop drawing review for Cass Road Bridge. Ideally, that's done by your design engineer, and so that's why work authorization 3 is there. Work authorization number 4, that involves the final design, making sure that it meets all of the Army Corps criteria. It involves updating the environmental assessment to include the powerhouses, both Sabin and Boardman, and also the Cass roadway work.
yes, sir.
Amy, so is this adding to the scope of work for URS?
Yes.
So the, which is why the currently funded by the county side of the, it's on page 43, the attachment A, support information for the authorization number 3, is, and I'm at a loss here because there's currently funded by the county and then the total contract. What's the difference? I know the difference. It's like $700,000 on one or $600,000 on another, but why is there 2 lines there?
Bless you.
So, 2 lines.
When the last URS invoice I saw reflected the $1,011,000.
Yes, that is the current agreement amount that's being paid for by implementation team grants.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're increasing it at one point for $14,000.
Yep, 14,000.
That's for doing something that wasn't included in our scope of work prior to?
Correct. The shop drawing review, once the contract has been awarded, because MDOT has now awarded the construction contract, that was not included in the original scope.
Okay. They probably didn't ever figure that they were going to have to do that?
Honestly, this has been such a large consolidated design effort. In hindsight, we could have included it. It's not confirmed whether, which engineering firm has to do that, if it has to be bid out, or, or the existing engineer. I think as things have evolved, it makes sense now to have URS do that shop drawing review.
So, and so then there's item number 4 that adds the extra $97,000.
Yes.
That is for much the same? I mean, it's...
No, that is now that the letter of intent is going forward, that means Boardman Dam removal will go forward with the Corps of Engineers.
Right.
So the Corps of Engineers has different construction specification review needs, bid contract specifications. So we need to do more work to now adjust our final design packet and the bid packet to meet the Corps requirements.
Okay.
And the EA is an important part as well. Now that the powerhouse removal and the Cass roadway work is going to be covered, that has to be adapted into the environmental assessment work. And that environmental assessment work is that $2 million current investment.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Do we have a motion?
Are these to approve these invoices? Is that what we're?
Yeah. Did you move it?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Just ask. I would move that we would approve, it's hard to read, sorry, work authorizations number 3 and number 4 from URS Corporation Great Lakes.
I'll support.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No.
Okay. It passes. Okay. All right, someone help me with what's next.
All right, thank you.
Back to me,
Back to Dean.
please.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'll
Starting on page 70, I have your general fund trial balance as of October 31st. I know it's getting late, so I'll be brief. There's a revenue summary by source on page 72. Provide just a summary or a comparison with the prior year. Revenues are actually, they're down, but they're at 89% of the budget. 10 months is 83% of our year. The revenues are tracking in line with budget. You notice the most significant thing, the tax revenues are ahead of what we had collected a year ago. The other significant difference is we're now receiving state revenue sharing to the tune of $1.3.5 million as of October 31st, which is offset in the transfers in because previous to 2015 we were transferring from a fund that the state had set up. So everything is this is summary information, but we're in line with our budget through 10 months. And the trial balance on the previous page shows the strong cash balances primarily because we're collecting our tax revenue. On page 73, again, a summary by function. 10 months is 83% of your year. That doesn't really work quite as the same on the expenditure side of things. I looked at the payrolls to date. We should be at 79.6% based on the payrolls that we've had. 2015, we're at 78%. We're better than, just an overall percentage. Higher, though, last year we were at 76.3%, and there was one more payroll year-to-date at October 31st, 2015 versus last year. So everything is tracking the way it should. I do not have any concerns with our general fund budget at this point. If there's any questions.
Any questions for Dean? Thank you, Dean.
Next item are some budget adjustments starting on page 75. I'll walk through them fairly quickly. First one is our community corrections, increasing the technical fee revenues to cover the additional phone costs that we're incurring to monitor those individuals. The revenue does support the increased cost. Middle of the page, our concealed pistol licensing fund, budgeting actual revenue received to cover the cost of the live scan fingerprint unit that you approved last month, I believe. Last item on the page, our activity in our inspections fund is, we're having a very good year, but as a result, we've had to contract those inspectors out, and we have the revenue to cover. That adjustment is budgeting the additional revenue to cover the cost of those services. Last item on the next page, resource recovery. This is to cover the cost of the disposal for our last household hazardous waste event, and the actual revenue that we charge the customers covers the cost of that service. I'm asking for your approval of those budget adjustments.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the budget adjustments for 2015 as outlined by the Finance Director.
Is there a second?
Support?
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Okay, let's see, what's next? We don't have,
CRA invoice.
we already discussed that.
No, it's a different invoice.
Different invoice.
Okay, go ahead. Who takes that?
I will take that, and Amy is here if you have any questions. But the second quarter 2015 invoice is attached as part of the change in the process this year. These invoices come back to you for approval. The invoice is included in your packet. It's for one quarter in the amount of $53,125. Attached to that is a summary of the services, the activity and the work that they are providing. I also included the consultant agreement, which explains or defines the scope of their services. This is the first invoice that you've seen, so if you have any questions, Amy was here. The county, Commissioner Wheelock had mentioned this earlier, we appropriate $20,000 annually for their services out of our budget. The balance of this invoice is covered by grant administration funds that they receive from the various grants that they have written and actually received. So it is covered by those other sources, and we are asking for your authorization to pay that invoice.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the CRA invoice.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Dr. Johnson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes. Now we're going to administration, correct?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Deputy County Administrator request. Is that you, Tom?
That's mine.
Okay.
Page of notes.
As we had talked about in my hiring, and I know it's been an issue before, the need for the Deputy County Administrator, so we drew up a job description, which I think you all have a copy of, and the intent is to bring that person on board as quickly as we can, identify a candidate that would be able to start April 1st, but would be working 1 week a month to get oriented and help on some of the issues we need to focus on. This person would have a strong financial background, so we can start working on the measurements into the various budget areas, which is what one of the main issues that you all wanted was more accountability. The other issue is, I have 28 department heads. I can't effectively help them be better managers, coach them, do executive coaching. I would have a hard time completing all of the performance reviews, and I don't think that's been a consistent thing. So there certainly is a justification to be able to move quicker on the things that we agreed and I was brought on to do by having that position in place. So I'm hoping that that is something that you all agree with and would support that motion.
Yes.
I would move to proceed and approve the Deputy County Administrator requested by our County Administrator.
Is there a second?
Second.
Support. Okay, a second by Crawford. Yes.
I thought you were looking at me.
I am looking at you.
Okay. As Tom envisions the reorganization of the county and looks at different departments and how to help them become more effective, for the citizens. And I think this position is imperative. And he is not going to have the time to do it all by himself with 28 department heads. He is working for $1 a month, and this is the first request, and I believe he doesn't make the request lightly, but he has been with us as a consultant for many months for $1 a month. I don't know if we've paid him yet.
You've not paid me yet. I talked about that.
Somebody talked to payroll about that.
They said they would give it to me all in one lump sum.
In one lump sum?
Like Ron Jolly. Do you want a lump sum, or do you want to
Yeah,
take
it's
it
over
over
25 years, yes. So I think it's extremely important that we support the administrator and what we've asked him to do.
Dr. Johnson.
Yeah, I know we don't normally comment on public comment, but, the one gentleman had a valid question with saying, well, you took the job and you knew what was involved. But I differ with that because, number one, we talked about this when Benda was here. Many months ago, we discussed this, that even at that point, we needed someone else in there. It makes sense to have a deputy administrator. I mean, I know we're going to take a lot of heat because, we're trying to pinch pennies every which way we can. But that also doesn't mean that you don't spend money to make wiser decisions. And I think that, I agree this is needed. It's not a wish list thing. To me, it's a necessity because it also gives us the chance to groom future replacements, but also to get that span of control lower. I mean, that 28 is a lot. And again, we've discussed this months ago. So
I'm going to make a comment. I've heard comments that why are we doing an assistant administrator now when we turned it down in the past? And I'll be quite frank with you. I can tell you why I didn't want to do it, is I had no confidence in Dave Benda and even less confidence in someone he would pick as an assistant administrator. So now that I have an administrator I have a lot of confidence in, we need an assistant administrator. So that's my input. Go ahead, Carol.
I think that I remember discussing at the beginning of our term that whoever our administrator was going to be, they needed a deputy. It gives us the ability to be proactive instead of reactive. And I think that being reactive is one of the reasons we're in the pickle that we're in, is people being overloaded, not able to do, not having time to devote to drilling down, to figuring out how to get more efficiency, how to just being able to analyze things more carefully, to be able to, I think that I'm not saying it right, but the savings that we will get from having a team of people able to do this, able to turn this around, will far outweigh the money that we will spend on this individual.
Thank you. Sonny.
We've been having an annual discussion about a deputy administrator every year since Mac McClellan left here, and that was about the time Dennis Aloya came here. So it's been an extended length of time. We're probably 12 years. I don't remember exactly. I was going to try to figure out when Mac left, but it's been a long time. Annually, we've had the discussion, and we've simply come up with the conclusion that we couldn't afford it. Now, through all of those strategic planning sessions for all these years, and the ones this year, we keep saying that the administrator has too much on his plate. Our annual evaluations of the administrator says he cannot complete his function because he has too much on his plate. That being said, I won't support this motion tonight because I believe that all personnel changes need to be part of the budget process. We have requests from multiple departments in the county for additional personnel, for additional hours, because they feel that they need those additional personnel to do their job. I want to take the administration department's request for additional personnel as part of that process. So I can't support this tonight. I will more than willingly have the discussion about whether the administrator needs an assistant. I firmly believe he does. But I believe the process is to look at all personnel requests as part of the budget process for 2016. I will not support this tonight, but I am more than willing to have the discussion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I can appreciate your feelings on that, Commissioner Wheelock. If you are aware of the change process, the initial thing that has to take place immediately is you've got to build your team to implement the changes. And this is part of building that team to develop the abilities to enact the changes. The longer you take in doing that, the longer you will have in having me accomplish the things you want. Example would be, literally, I could spend all of my time on these labor negotiations and nothing else. Nothing else. The budget, I'm trying to work with Dean on that, but literally, I can't, it's so time-consuming that it's impossible. And then, of course, as you multitask, you don't drill down as effectively as you can and take the due diligence. You're just you have too much on your plate. So this is to allow us to get that change process started and get it moving. And secondly, I look upon these positions, if you are selective, that you are possibly hiring your replacement for consideration and building bench strength within the organization so that you would have a good opportunity to evaluate the individuals and how they're working, how effective they are, and how they're working with the organization. That becomes a little bit more important, I hate to say it, when you have an older city manager. I hope I would have 20 more years, but realistically, I don't. And so I want to leave you in good shape. I left Beta with 2 strong internal candidates to take my position. That's part of my responsibility. So this will help me move forward, and I want to get all our department heads to be able to cross-train, and if they leave, have someone at least identified inside that could step into the organization. That's part of that process. So, but I respect your opinions and understand it.
We have promised the community and our staff a 2016 budget in 28 days. I guess I wasn't clear. Are we advertising for this position, or have we selected someone to fill this position?
I have already selected someone. It would, if this is approved tonight, an offer letter will go out tomorrow morning.
Okay, I'm going to open this up for public comment. You'd like to speak, so come on up, sir.
I'm David Lather, 2010 Arrowhead Drive, Traverse City. I think the timing on this is really bad. I don't disagree with a lot of what I've just heard. I stood here a week ago and had my Medicare insurance taken away from me. A lot of our employees suffered your actions last week. There was wage freezes. There was more insurance taken away from the non-contract people. We were told that we're all going to have some hurt here. And I think that hurt needs to go all the way up to the top. I think the timing is really bad. And the other part of this is I printed off this job description. And part of it that's troubling to me is how much it refers to the finance department. This position has direct overall responsibility for the management of the finance department, serves as the chief financial officer, and it goes on, plans, organizes, and directs all aspects of the finance department, including personnel, budgeting process, planning, and general administration. We do have, I think, a director of finance. I've worked with him when I was a department head for many years before I retired. He was a very important part of my budgeting process. Now I work with him on the building authority, and he's a very important resource to that. This suggests to me that there's being something, Dean is being supplanted by I don't understand why there's so much emphasis on this Director of Finance here. That's what's troubling me the most about all this. Out of the 33 points that is in this job description, the word accounting only appears once. So it's this whole thing is troubling to me, and I think the timing is bad. We stood here last week, and we were part of the hurt, and I think that needs to go all the way up to the top. And this is nothing personal against you, Mr. Menzel.
I don't take it that way. I understand.
I'm sorry, but
No,
that's my feeling, and I would really hate to see something happen to our finance director as all this comes down. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Anybody else? Okay. Oh, yes.
It's simply to get more focus. You can't manage successfully what you can't measure. We need to get measurements in the organization. I need more resources to do that. And Dean has a history that no one else has, and I need to utilize him on special projects to move the process along earlier, and that's why I'm doing that. That's the rationale for it. And it's hard to explain a whole process, but there's a good reason for it. It's not to get rid of anyone or not to cut them out. It's to utilize them more effectively in a more project-focused manner, because he's got the history of the organization, can allow me to move a lot quicker in some things I want to get implemented. And we're working very closely together now on everything.
Thank you. Dr. Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, last year, if I'm not mistaken, early on in the process, you had a lot of dog and pony shows from all the department heads. And again, if I'm not mistaken, there was nothing done.
You are correct.
So, I mean, I respect that it's not good timing, but we have to do something. And I think this is in the right direction. We continue to say, yes, this is needed, but now's not the time. Well,
I think it is exactly the time.
It is the time. We've got to make these tough decisions. We know this is not going to be liked by any of the employees. Obviously, at this point, it's not a popularity contest for what we're doing. We're going to feel the pain too, along with everybody else. But I think part of it is we have to do some action. We really do. We cannot any longer sit here and let things idle month by month by month. We're in a situation now where we have to do some things, and sometimes they may not make sense to the general public, but I think, we're just in that situation now where it's action, or if no action, is just going to hurt us too much.
Okay. Carol.
I think what we're doing here is building an appropriate team. And Dean is a member of that team, a very important member of that team. So we're just adding to the team here to help with his function, to help with Mr. Menzel's function, to help with human resources, to help in all aspects. So it's not, I don't see this as Tom's assistant. I see this as really helping all departments, being able to be an asset to an awful lot of department heads and other employees as well. So it's part of a management team. And so as to, taking away from anybody's job or anything, I don't see that at all. I really see it as simply help where help is needed in the right way.
Thank you. Commissioner Kropa.
This one I struggled with more than the pool and the dams, just so you know.
You gotta talk into your mic or they won't be able to hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was answering hate mail that I already received via my phone, so, honest to God, can't make that. This one is very tough for me. I supported the idea of a deputy administrator, but, truth be told, I did not support our past administrator, and I didn't support the concept that night because I didn't want him choosing a deputy administrator. And so, of course, the point be made, we should just be out there, right? I guess if I had said that night several months ago, everything would have been a lot better, right? So I'm going to say that now. And I think we went through a process. We selected Mr. Menzel. We asked him to complete a task, and this is part of his task. However, I really need to know when this is revenue neutral. What is what is the structure for this? And I remember speaking in February about an entire structural change needs to happen at Grand Traverse County. So yes, a deputy administrator is a good idea, but how does it fit in the new structure? So I guess I was curious where this position falls in. I mean, I guess I agree we need a deputy administrator, but does that mean we have less staff allocation somewhere else? Or is this literally an extra piece in the structure? And that's what I was curious about.
Well, the intent is to do organizational redesign once I get the right HR person and get this person on board. And I don't know what that'll look like, but the key is that we will go through all of the departments and see if we can put some efficiencies in there and more measurement. Dan would understand that more than others. 2 years ago, I put an increased resource in the finance department in Beta, and now as a result, every quarter they're getting matrix management evaluations on agreed to performance measurements, and the finance department goes out and sits down and works in performance-based measurements with each department. And so the finance department is critical for measurement, and you cannot manage effectively what you can't measure. So I'm trying to get the resources in place. What we'll find out, I don't know. But as we start drilling down and put more accountability, more measurement in, we may find there's redundancies, there's things that can be done differently, and then we'll make the necessary changes in doing that. But I need the resources to do that. The next key component is getting an HR person who has two things I'm looking for: is strong union negotiations background and organizational redesign background, and then linking in with the finance abilities of the deputy. They would go through the whole organization and look at making changes.
So
does that answer your question or not?
Well, yeah, there isn't a plan. I mean, for instance, we all voted to spend $120,000 on software for the prosecutor's office, and none of us really wanted to spend $120,000. But Bob Cooney came forward with a plan of structural change and how he had it managed out, and in a year we saved this, and by 3 years, not only had we paid for this software, but we had measured ways that we can improve the efficiency.
Change process went, first one I did with an organization larger than this, took about 3 years and 3 months. Beta, because we had some challenges with those 2 winters that were so severe.
Right.
I wasn't able to get the resources in, and so we've been doing that for about 1.5 years, and that's in the 4th and 5th year. And the organizations that I went into, of course, had severe financial problems, and we had to make some tough calls on allocation of resources in areas where, just like now, people didn't understand, were angry about it, and you're right, it's terrible timing. But if you want me to do what you want me to do, I've got to get the team and the resources in place to start it. Or I'll start later, or if I don't get the resources, we need to renegotiate your expectations for me and put them in a little different context because I can't physically do it. So it's, you know, I guess I would recommend, if you want to see the process, read Leading Change. You know, that's a good model in terms of how that process works. It's somewhat generic, but it is exactly what I've done in 3 different organizations, and it does work. It's not easy. You know, I tell you, my first year as mayor, I had 3 death threats, 3, and I had a policeman on me. People were so mad at me. I even changed the city seal. You know, I moved really quickly, and I'm used to that, and people just don't understand it. Now, each one of those, it was very successful, but it took 2 to 3 years to really show the results. It just doesn't. You know,
but in your opinion, this particular position is critical in that process.
You've had a culture for 25 years here. You don't change it overnight. You'll have sabotage, you'll have people doing passive-aggressive behaviors, you'll have everything in that. I've experienced all of them that'll try to sabotage it. You know, I've got to get the right team in place that's philosophically in alignment, as the skill sets, and there'll be people inside that will be on that, but there'll be others who won't. So, you know, I got to get the right group in there to push this out, and it's not easy.
So this is a vision of something different than what we may have even discussed as a deputy
Yeah,
administrator in the
yeah,
past. And I think that that's an important distinction to make here. Again, I have
Well, you
grappled
need to
with
ask
this one,
questions,
but-
and you need to, help, and even one-on-one, that's probably better than the public forum to go into depth explaining it, because it's complex. It's very complex. You're dealing with human behaviors. You're dealing with a culture that doesn't want to change. And you're trying to get that in place, and you're trying to get the right systems and processes in place. And the reason you do that, and it's not easy, is that you want sustained change. If you don't get the right systems and processes in place, the old behaviors will be right back in 3 to 6 months, because they're strongly entrenched, and it takes a while. So, it's...
Well, we hired Tom as a change agent. We all realize change has to happen. And he's telling us what he needs. We need to support him. We need to support him on this. And so I'm going to be supporting it. I hope you guys do too. Commissioner?
We spent well in excess of an hour this evening talking about a contract about a swimming pool for $50,000 that actually is in our next year's budget. This money, I don't believe, has been identified in the budget for 2016. We're talking about a position that's paying in excess of $100,000 a salary, plus I'm assuming there's benefits over and above that dollar amount. It's interesting, we talk about our HR department. We, I believe, are in our 4th round of going out and asking for applications because we can't find someone who we deem to be suitable to fill that position. We're a public open body. I don't know how we get ourselves in a position where we say, okay, I'm going to hire someone in excess of $100,000 salary, and I'm not even going to post the position or advertise the position. That bothers me a lot, and I guess that's about all I have to say with it.
Well, I'll be happy to explain that to you.
Yeah, and you and I will have discussion about this as both of our time permits. It's interesting that, and absolutely no disrespect to Tom or anyone else in our organization. Here we are, we've been dealing without a deputy administrator for 10, 12 years, and all of a sudden, before Tom actually even comes in the door officially to work full-time, I've got in front of me a proposal to hire a deputy administrator. That just seems a little out of line for me.
I'll take responsibility for it. I said we needed the position. We had to write the job description. I knew the person I wanted, and I said to Paula, see if she'll come back to Traverse. See if she's willing to come back and what it'll take to get her. Because you are who you hang around with when you're in a change process, and I need the right kind of skills that's going to help me implement it. So you're absolutely right, Sonny. I was looking for a specific person that's a proven performer that had the skill sets I need to do it. And if I don't have that resource, I'm not going to be successful. So that exactly is why I did it. And I said, that's who I want. They're in Washington, D.C. See if they'll come back here. I've worked with them. I know how good they are, and we could use them. And it's a good bench strength for that position, for the administrator's position too, if when I'm gone. So you'll have a good opportunity to evaluate what I can tell you will be a high performer.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
It passes.
My name, please, sir. Thank you.
Okay, then we're going to elimination of building authority per diem compensation. Is that you, Tom?
Yes. This is part of a larger project, but this is the first one. I was in a meeting, and in that meeting of the building authority, it came up that there was a per diem expense paid for volunteers, well, everyone in the room. And I asked the question, I said, if you're a volunteer, you don't get a per diem, you volunteer, and you do it as a volunteer. And if you're an administrator on full salary, it doesn't make sense to me that you would be getting a per diem in addition to your full salary during the workday. It just didn't seem right, and I explained my position, and the board was gracious enough to agree with that. So this would eliminate the per diems for this group as of January 1, and they were gracious enough to vote that in. Now, I will tell you, I am currently looking at all the boards and commissions in terms of volunteers and administration and duties, and it's a mixed bag. There are some that are getting salaries like poll watchers, which I think you have to do, but I'm taking a good look at it to see what makes sense and what's consistent across the board, and then I'll bring that back to the commission. So this is the start of what I would like to explore in terms of kind of peeling back the onion, looking at the operation, but it just doesn't seem right. If you volunteer, you're a volunteer, and if you are on staff getting a full salary, you don't go into a meeting during the workday and get another $35 for it, so just trying to clean it up a little bit, and this is the first one.
Okay. Do we need a vote on this?
I'll make the motion to approve the decision of the Building Authority to eliminate per diem compensation for the Building Authority members and the county clerk effective January 1st, 2016.
Is there a second? Dr. Johnson, any discussion? Yes, Sonny?
About 5 years ago, maybe a little longer than that, we talked about per diems on an overall basis, because you were right, Tom. We had a dozen different committees. Some of them got per diem, some of them didn't. Some of them, as you say, were administrative positions. Well, they didn't collect the per diem, but other people that were coming to the meeting did. And it was just kind of a rat race. So what we deemed to at that time was we made the per diem rate the same across the board. If we want to reopen that discussion and talk about all of them, that makes sense to me. I'm not sure doing them one at a time does.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Because of the fact that the building authority, I seen a note that they passed a motion to that effect. I will support this motion tonight. I would just not expect to see removal of per diems of each of the individual committees one at a time. Either it's something we do or it's something we don't do. Yeah. We certainly don't want to look at them.
I agree. We're investigating. I'm trying to get my arms around everything out there and then come in with a consistent policy.
And there are committees that statutorily are not eligible for per diems.
You're absolutely right.
Airport Commission and I don't know, half a dozen that we have that absolutely are not eligible for per diems by Constitution that creates them.
Just trying to put some fairness and consistency in it, and I will come back with a recommendation after I've looked at all of them.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, it passes. Now, we're going to go to unfinished business, and it's going to be the County Medicare Supplement Plan, and it'll also include, that'll be the first half of it. The second half will be clarifying insurance for Drain Commissioner and the county surveyor. The first half I will chair, but when we come to talk about the Drain Commissioner, I'm going to excuse myself, and Dr. Johnson has agreed to take over that part of the meeting. So, who's going to take County Medicare Supplement Plan? Go ahead.
We got an email about this.
Yeah, we have to do this tonight,
Yes.
according to Paula.
Oh, here it is. I found the email. It was sent yesterday from
November
Chris Kramer.
16th, it was sent to me and Board of Commissioners.
Okay, I'm looking, addition to the agenda, here we go.
Mr. Chair, we also have Sally here who can help.
Oh, yes. Sally, do you want to come up and can you help us out?
She's waited a long time, so
Yes, you have.
has to justify all that long wait.
She didn't have anything else to do this evening. I'm sure she didn't.
I thanked her about 3 times in the hallway for coming tonight. Thank you for doing that, Sally. I appreciate your time.
Yes, we do need approval on this tonight. We need to have a contract ready to go January 1st. If not, we will not be able to have a insurance plan in place January 1st. So what I believe the item is to renew the contract with our current provider, United
Right.
American.
Okay.
That's it.
Yes.
I would move to approve the contract with United American, and I make the motion for immediate approval.
Is there a second? Okay. Dr. Klaus. Dr. Klaus. Okay. From now on, we're going to call you Dr. Klaus. All right.
Or Dr. Claus, one or the other.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Roll call vote.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah, okay, thank you.
All right.
Well, actually, let's, because part of this was because of the sanctions. The gentleman mentioned the sanctions, so just want to make sure that it's clear to the public that they did contact the, which one was it?
Centers for Medicare and Medicaid.
PBS United America.
And whatever those sanctions were do not affect what we have, and that we've had no complaints from any county
Correct.
members
'Cause
using
this was
that.
just on the prescription, and it doesn't affect the current coverage,
Yeah.
so.
So,
Okay. Roll call.
Crawford.
Yes.
Johnson.
yes.
Max Bauer.
Yes.
Coropa.
Yes.
Wheelock.
Yes.
Klaus.
Yes.
Lathrop.
Yes. Okay, now we're going to go on to the clarification of,
My allergies.
and I'm going.
Is this the resolution for the drain commissioner salary?
I think that,
Yes.
yes, Sonny didn't remember.
there it is.
I think that the vote to remove his benefits. Remember, you were saying you didn't remember voting on that, but here's the resolution.
Right, the resolution, and, I guess I forgot, so I get senile in my old age.
So we really don't need any action.
Well, yes, we do.
Yes, you do, because
Or did we hold up
the resolution that states the elected salaries that was passed in 2012 states the county survey salary, in salary only, no benefits.
Right.
And then there's another resolution somewhere that
That
says
says
the
the
salary
same-
for the
Same for
drain
the drain.
With
commissioner,
the-
it's the same thing. It specifically states his salary, and he will receive no benefits. At least in my mind at the time, and, like I say, I'm a little bit foggy along the edges, is I think the decision was based on the idea that the county was not providing benefits to them. Not that we wanted to exclude them from the ability to purchase health insurance or benefits through our programs, but the county was not going to pay for those benefits as part of their compensation. Not unlike commissioners. Commissioners get a salary. They have the ability to purchase health insurance through the county, but it is not paid for by the county. And I think that was what was, at least in my mind, that's what I thought we had passed, and, that's not the way this resolution reads.
Mr. Chairman, I can help you on that. It was Resolution 68-2012, and what it said, and now therefore be it resolved by this Board of Commissioners that Grand Traverse County approves the salary for the drain commissioner to be $7,000 per year with no benefits effective with the 2013-2014 election cycle, and that was approved on April 25th of 2012. So-
Right, we have both resolutions before us in our packet.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I would move to permit the county surveyor and the drain commissioner to purchase county insurance at full cost, at 100% cost. I mean, what I'm trying to say is an employee ought to be able to take advantage of lower insurance rates and not have to go out into the marketplace. And we excluded the drain commissioner and the county surveyor, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want them included in the ability to take advantage of low county insurance rates.
Support.
Is that clear, Sarah?
I didn't know how to say it any clearer.
I think the point is, I don't think it was the intent when these resolutions were passed that they didn't have the insurance available to them as long as they were paying for it. I think the resolutions were passed, at least in my mind, with the idea that we were not paying for health insurance benefits for them.
Any other discussion?
And that they weren't full-time for us.
Just to clarify, because we don't want to see this again. Your intent is if they wish to purchase any health benefits
Yes.
or otherwise, it's their cost,
Yes.
but they get our discount. Or
Yes.
they get the
Group rates.
the group rate.
Group rates, yes.
Got it. Just making sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Where did he go?
Coming back.
Motion to adjourn? No.
You can't recuse yourself from everything.
All right, what do we got?
He's coming.
Let's hope.
We have a clarification real quick. Don't sit down yet.
Roll call?
It's not just health insurance, like health, dental,
Yes.
vision,
Right.
the entire
Yes,
benefit.
absolutely.
Benefit package at their
Yes.
cost.
We're good, we're good.
Thank you. All right.
All right.
Don't sit down yet.
Now you can sit. Yeah, sorry.
All right, no problem.
Music stopped.
Okay. Now, on to new business. This will be an item brought up by our wonderful Commissioner Kropa, and let's hear it.
I would like to have us have a discussion about eliminating the defined contribution plan for county commissioners. And if this board so chooses to like that idea, we could direct our prosecutor's office to write a resolution that could be on our month-end board meeting. The reason I added this at last minute is I intended to bring it up at the month-end board meeting, so I called the chair, and she said it would be best if we discussed it and gave legal time to create a resolution that would be appropriately worded. And if we weren't interested, then it would just die here tonight. I think it's silly. We're part-time employees. I don't understand why this is offered, and I understand it's not a lot of money. But I just think that it makes sense, and it's good leadership. We lead by example, and we are asking citizens to forego things and employees to forego things, so there's that. And I would like to see us do that. And I also just want to thank Mike Walton at the Record Eagle for writing my 2 sentences on the front page today. In exchange for talking to him, I was able...
You made a deal.
I did make a deal. I was able to get put, Tom Bensley will take away my pin, my zipper
will.
pin. I was able to get put in writing 2 incredibly important things to me, which are first, the County Board of Commissioners cut their own benefits last week. We are elected officials. When you read a resolution that says elected officials, that's us. So I don't want to get any more emails or read that anymore. Not only that, we get paid less than minimum wage, and we aren't offered the same health insurance that the rest of the county is. So the one thing we have left to give up is our defined contribution, which only totals like $200 or $300 a year. But I think it's a good gesture to do that. Number 2, he put in writing that Constitution of State of Michigan protects retiree pensions. After I said that at our meeting last week, 3 retirees stopped me before I even got to the stairway. They didn't know that. We need to affect change and lead by example by making sure that we are all making decisions based on good facts. And I reminded Mike of his job as a journalist to get good information out there. It's important. You may not agree with our decisions, but I sure hope that you base your opinion on good facts. So it was kind of a two-sided thing, but I wanted to make sure that people understood this isn't fun. We don't take this lightly, and we have made commitments to cut our own benefits, and we will continue to. I don't believe there's anything left to cut after this. We are the only department that has lowered their costs. We are the only department that had their employees cut 4 years ago, gave out more work to the employees, and retained the same pay. We're the only employees that have not gotten a pay raise in over a decade. We are the only employees that are not eligible, other than the drain commissioner and the county surveyor, to be part of the group policies for the healthcare. We have single policies. So I want to get all of that information out there so that as we move forward and citizens and employees see change, that they understand good facts. Because when you write a comment in the ticker and you just talk about us taking away your pensions, it really takes away all your, I was on the debate team, that's not how you do it. So we all move together forward, and we move together forward hopefully by passing this resolution and engaging in conversation with people to work together as a team to find solutions and not bad information jabs at each other.
Okay. Commissioner Crawford.
I agree that we have nothing else in our own compensation to let go of. We actually make very little. You know, for some reason, people believe that we make a whole lot of money. We don't. We all have other jobs. This is not our only job. And it's just not all that much, and I'm okay with that. I signed up for that, and that is perfectly acceptable. But the outcry of cut your own salaries, come on, you make $7,000 a year. How are you going to cut that? I also think that although I am signed up for the pension plan because it was offered and whatever, the Founding Fathers, at the risk of boviating, give me a second on it. The Founding Fathers never intended for public service to be a career. You're given a pension for your career, for some place that you spend 20, 25, 30 years. You've devoted the greater part of your life to that business, to that entity. And the pension is to reward that longevity, to reward that dedication to your career. He never intended for public service like this to be a career. I don't intend it to be my career. You're supposed to partially step out of private life and serve your community and then step back. And that was the purpose. Pensions, I believe, are for careers, a reward at the end of a good career. And so I would absolutely, if it comes to it, support going ahead and cutting that benefit for ourselves.
Thank you. Commissioner Max Bauer.
Well, I am the only county commissioner who has never taken the retirement benefit. I do not even take the county's 3%. So when I vote to eliminate it, I have already eliminated it for myself. And I just want it noted that I have never even taken the county's match. I wrote rejected right on the sheet when I signed up, and I don't get it.
Anybody else? Commissioner Sonny.
I'm not even sure where I fit in that category, Carol. I really aren't, because I've been around that 20 years.
But you have another career.
I'm not even sure how I'm supposed to take that.
It really wasn't any offense intended to you at all. Not at all. Not at all.
I spent 36 years as a volunteer firefighter too, but it wasn't necessarily my career. I have been involved in the county's retirement program since I came here in 1998, so it's been a while. We all know how much I hate it when stuff is added to the agenda at the last minute, and I guess
It's not for immediate approval, though.
I really would have liked to seen, some sort of a packet and a proposal and what it actually costs Grand Traverse County to provide this retirement benefit to the 7 commissioners or 6 that choose to participate.
It's not so.
5, I don't either. So.
Well,
you don't take it either?
We went from 9 commissioners to 7 a few years back. All of us picked up, and at that time, the salary for the 9 commissioners was $63,000 a year. It was my suggestion at that time that you take the $63,000 and divide it by the 7 commissioners, because the work that has to be done is just the same work that was being done by 9 of them. And we all know how we sit here every Wednesday night for an extended length of time, and they're not easy decisions. This idea that it's a part-time job with full-time pay and benefits, when I do the math, it doesn't come out that way. happened to read my MERS statement when I got back from Alabama this week and discovered that I lost $1,300 in the last quarter out of the retirement money that myself paying out of my paycheck, plus what the county was paying in. $1,300 of that money went away somewhere along the way, you know. All of us that have retirement programs see that, not only in, you know, our government ones, but in our private ones. But, you know, I have a little bit of a hard time with the fact that we're going to have this on the agenda tonight at the last minute without having a true explanation of what it costs the county.
I can answer that for you.
I know.
It's a discussion, and the discussion could be ask staff to come back with numbers. Although I'll tell you, I don't care if it costs us 12 cents. Let's give it up. It's the idea that the County Board of Commissioners is standing alongside of everybody else in this community that is playing a part in fixing this county. I don't care if it costs us, what it costs us. Why can't you just let go of it for the, you know, we asked other people to let go of things last week. It just doesn't matter to me. And if you want finance to research our $80 that we get in pensions or something, that's great. But I just think it is an important thing to do. It's not hard to let go of this. It's a benefit that on principle we don't deserve.
Okay, Doctor?
And actually, we may help you save money then. If they're losing,
You wouldn't have lost some money.
we're here to help you. Help us help you. So no, I don't partake in it either. And yeah, it's a, you know, just a symbolic gesture, if you will, because of the money's involved. But no, I agree.
Dr. Klaus?
I mean, it's a big thing.
Dr. Klaus.
I just, Alyssa said that we asked the people last week. We really didn't ask them. We took it.
Exactly.
We didn't ask them.
So it doesn't matter how much this is. We take something too. We can research it to death.
Well, I'd like to say something to the public. You know, all the time we see reported in the paper how much money we make, and then they add they get insurance and they get retirement, but they don't say how much retirement we get. Now, I got my report from MERS just a couple days ago, and in 5 years from now, when I'm 72, if everything works out like they say, I'll get $53 a month
Yeah, wow.
on my retirement from the county. So, you know, I can't live on that. So I can give that up. So, but I want to point out that when it's reported we get retirement, it's really kind of a joke.
Well, because our retirement is, we put in 3% of our pay, 3% of
almost nothing. I got it.
$1,000. So we're not contributing that much anyway.
I love
by
they
default.
insinuate we get the same health insurance as
Last year
everybody
they
else, too.
I got a document from the county that said it crunched some numbers and it said how much I made an hour, and I think it was like $7.20 an hour and no tips. So no, I'm okay with this. So we have a motion, we have a second?
Well, actually, no, we're going to ask for a resolution.
We probably, Mr. Chairman, need to explore that. I don't believe that if you have a 401K in place that you can
stop it.
You might have to roll it over or something?
I think you may have it as a, well, you could personally elect not to do it. I think if you wanted to pass something, you might do it for the next group coming in at a certain date after, you know, January 1 of 2017. You wouldn't contribute to the defined contribution up until that time, and people who've been here would have it as a personal decision whether they want to contribute or not, I think is part. But we can check that out and get back to you and let you know for sure.
Let's have it checked out and see what we can and can't do.
And that'll satisfy Sonny too.
And I have a question, maybe Sally can answer. If I decide at this point or next year, or whenever my next opportunity is to then opt out of that retirement, do I get the money that I've put in back? Or what happens with, it's like $200 and some dollars, but.
65 years old.
For what you put in.
Okay, so I'd be able to get I'd be able to get a distribution of what I put in.
Carol, you can also keep it in. You could just keep it in if you want.
As Sunny said, I lost 14%. So somehow the mix of what I did, I'm losing money on it. So I
lot of
kind of want it
nachos.
back. Honestly.
You might want to consider a different investment strategy going forward.
I think I'm just going to spend it on Christmas.
So Bob and I are ahead, we're not putting anything in, we're good.
I really would
There's your
just
tip.
kind of like it back at this point.
Okay,
Yeah.
moving on.
Moving on.
It's time for second public comment. Yes.
David Lather again. Just one correction, well, not a correction maybe. The Medicare, CMS Medicare sanctions against Torchmark, which is the parent company of United American, was for the Part D program, but the program that the county had, this year we have, that Part D program is part of the package. And as far as complaints go, I don't know about anybody else, but I've had Medicare coverage for 15 years now, and this is absolutely the worst insurance program that I've had. They can't explain why I've received no payments on any of my claims. It just is gone. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. I won't belabor anything further.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Okay, anybody else? Come on up, please, sir.
Good evening. My name's Jim Danek. I live at 5964 Lillian Lane. Most of you probably have no idea who I am. Dean, I know. Sonny, I know. Chris, I spoke to you on the phone a couple of years ago, reference a drug house I had next to me. I work in Central Dispatch. I've been with the county for almost 10 years, and most of you probably have never set foot in there. At least I know when I work. I work midnights. I love my job. I love what I do. I'm good at it. In fact, I'm great at it. I haven't lost a single life that couldn't have been saved. And I can say that about most everybody up there. We are really, really good. Finally, we're fully staffed. Very close. We got our last person started this week. The 10 years I've been here, it's the first time, maybe the second, that I remember we've been fully staffed. Been running understaffed, severely overworked quite a bit, but we're there. Every night when you're sleeping, I'm awake. I'm there to take care of you when you need us. Now, we've got a lot of smart people up there. You know, there's some things that we've talked amongst ourselves and said, okay, you know, if we did this and we did this and we did this, we could save some money. Save a lot of money. You know, in the past we've discussed, all right, personal time payouts that was changed last year, no more than 40 hours. In 10 years I've been here, I've called in sick 3 times. And when we take sick time or personal time, you're paying somebody else time and a half to work for me. So the 3 days that I took last week, or a couple weeks ago, I got paid my 24 hours, I'm down my 40, but you paid somebody else 36 hours to cover me. And we said, you know, we don't have to do that, but you guys kept saying no, but we're going to ask for it again. That's smart money. Just pay us out. I don't call in sick. If somebody else does, they're not going to get paid, big deal. But it's saving the county money. We haven't had a director since February. She's been off. We haven't had a deputy director. He's been taking care of things. He's been doing a great job. We haven't had an HR director. We paid Dave Benda $94,000 just to not work here, and we say we don't have any money. We're looked at as a clerical department, which we're not. We're not clerical. We're first responders. We're the first people that take care of the emergency. Not the ambulance, not the police department, not the fire trucks, us. We're the ones that take care of that first call. We save people that can't be saved sometimes. I've talked suicidal people off the ledge I don't know how many times. I've listened to screaming wives because their husband blew their head off, or their son did the same. I took 3 suicidal successful calls in 8 days. Killed me.
I'll allow you to make your point.
Okay. You know what, I'm just hoping that when we have our negotiations, we've been trying to have them for quite a while. 4 different requests before we finally got some okay, we're going to have negotiations. And I hope they end up being just that, negotiations, not the county saying, this is what you're going to get. And we're going to ask, hey, how about this? No, that's what you're going to get. I want them to be negotiations. The economical proposals are the ones that get us into a pickle. We have a tiered longevity plan. Some people don't have it, some people do. I'm fortunate one that does have it. $50 a year after 5 years. But that's not there anymore. The benefit plan that we're trying to get to, I understand that we're trying to get to 10% employee contribution this year.
Wrap it up.
Okay. Why can't that be tiered to the new people? Grandfather some of the stuff for the people that have been here, because we were hired with the expectation that we're going to have some
thank you.
Some benefits.
Thank you very much for your input.
All right, thank you for your time, gentlemen and ma'am.
Okay, any other public comments? All right, public comments are closed. Now we're at Commissioner Committee reports.
I have one.
Okay, we're done there. Notices and now, what?
No, she said she's got
The
one.
Coast Guard, I was going to mention the Coast Guard.
Go ahead.
Our LEPC meeting was at the Coast Guard base last week, and I just wanted to share with the board what the Lieutenant Commander said, that thanks to our board passing the radio system project, the Coast Guard said that they will now be able to have absolute communication with us, and that they are certain that this is going to save lives and for all of our different entities, but certainly that, and he just wanted to pass along a thanks because it makes a big difference to the Coast Guard. And just the last thing is I went to TC Tallis. We outlined our 3 priority projects for this year. Number 1 is Hartman-Hammond. Number 2 is we call it the Bayshore Corridor. It's Acme, East Bay, City of Traverse City, Elmwood. It's a MDOT project. And the 3rd one is a reorganization of South Airport Road from Garfield to Cass, a limited access management plan so that there isn't a driveway every 2 feet and accidents. And I just wanted to share with everybody that there is an open house with our County Road Commission and the City Streets Department along with MDOT, and it will be December 8th at Haggerty at 7 p.m. And all of the recent road projects will be wrapped up and discussed there in discussions about next year's projects.
Sounds exciting. Anybody else? Yes.
I'm just going to let everybody know what you probably, if you read the paper this morning, what we are going to be discussing tomorrow night at Parks and Rec, and that is the breakers owe Grand Traverse County $16,000, and that's going to be a topic for discussion tomorrow evening.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Do we have a closed session?
Oh, thank God.
Oh, you guys want one?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we're adjourned.
We only got 8 minutes left.
Only down to 4 people.